Chapter 695. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Qianqiong Academy was on holiday today. Gu Jiao heard from a passing merchant when she went to the market to buy vegetables that the state preceptor returned to Xingdu in the middle of the night. Early in the morning, there was a long line outside the state preceptor's hall to see the state preceptor. So many people want to see the state preceptor. The vegetable vendor asked the merchant sitting next to him drinking soy milk. He said to Gu Jiao, 10 knife coins. Gu Jiao handed the 10 knife coins to the vegetable vendor and put 2 fresh large gourds into the small basket behind her. The merchant drank half a bowl in big gulps and said with sweat all over his head, "Of course. The line is 3 miles long. The carriage almost couldn't pass. If I wasn't in a hurry to leave the city to do business, I would also line up there." Last time when Gu Jiao went to the state preceptor's hall to ask about the state preceptor's whereabouts, the eldest disciple Yi Qin told her that the state preceptor would come back at the beginning of the month if he was early, at the end of the month at the latest. It would be best if he didn't have to wait until the end of the month. After all, Gu Yan's condition would get worse the longer it was delayed. Gu Jiao returned to the house with the vegetables she bought. "You're back." Nan Shinyang looked at the sweat on her forehead and hurriedly took her small basket. She said, "I didn't expect Chengdu to be so hot this year. You must be bored." She was talking about Gu Jiao's chest wrap. Gu Jiao had grown too well in the past 2 years. In order to cover her body, she had to wrap herself tightly. Nan Shinyang felt hot for her. Gu Jiao said, "It's okay. She could bear it." Nan Shinyang said with heartache, "It's really hard for you. I boiled some mint water. It will be ready in a while." Nan Shinyang, "I don't want to drink it. I want to go to the inner city." Gu Jiao said, "The state preceptor is back." Mistress Nan's eyes lit up. "Really?" Gu Jiao nodded. "Yes, I heard the news at the market just now, so I want to try my luck and see if I can meet the state preceptor." Madame then looked at Gu Yan, who was sunbathing listlessly in the corridor. She understood that Gu Yan's condition could not be delayed any longer. "Is it true that the earlier the operation, the higher the chance of recovery?" "Yes," Gu Jiao said. "If they delayed for too long, the surgery might be useless." Madame Nan did not urge her to stay any longer. She asked Master Lu to prepare a carriage for Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao took out the token of the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms. She rummaged through the table and said, "Where's the token? I clearly put it here." Here. Old Mr. Meng appeared at the door with a brocade bag in his hand. The token was inside. "Oh." Gu Jiao walked over and took the brocade pouch. "Oh, you took it." Old Mr. Meng said casually, "Well, I just took it. Are you planning to enter the city alone?" "Yes." Gu Jiao said. Old Mr. Meng cleared his throat. "You're not bringing me?" Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. "Why should I bring you?" Old Mr. Meng said, "To the state preceptor's palace." Gu Jiao said seriously, "The state preceptor knows the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms. You'll be exposed if you go." Old Mr. Meng, the real chess sage of the 6 kingdoms, was speechless. Thinking of something, Gu Jiao said, "No, you still have to go. Otherwise, you won't be able to enter the city later." However, Old Mr. Meng really needed to enter the city today. He was going to meet someone near the state preceptor's palace. It was on the same way as Gu Jiao. Master Lu had prepared the carriage. Master Lu had planned to use another horse. However, the horse king beat up Master Lu and his companion. Then, it valiantly came out to pull the carriage. It did not forget to bring Gu Jiao's small medicine box and small basket onto the carriage. It was very considerate of its service. After Gu Jiao got into the carriage, old Mr. Meng got in as well. Gu Jiao put down the curtain and said to the horse king, "It's done. Let's go." The horse king opened its big mouth, raised its front hooves, and rushed out with a whoosh. Old Mr. Meng was caught off guard. He leaned back and hit the wall of the carriage with a bang. The horse king ran with a whoosh. A gust of wind blew the carriage's curtains high up into the air. The curtains crashed against the walls of the carriage, making crackling noises. Old Mr. Meng was blown out of his mind. He spread out his arms and leaned against the wall of the carriage without any resistance. He felt that he could not even open his eyes. Even the wrinkles on his face were about to be blown flat by the wind. What kind of crazy horse was this? The carriage galloped on the street, overtaking every car it saw. When it stopped to pass through the checkpoint of the inner city gate, old Mr. Meng had been blown into a lion. This time, Gu Jiao did not press old Mr. Meng's head and tell him embarrassing lines. The reason was that the guards let them pass when they saw the token of the chess sage of the Six Kingdoms. Old Mr. Meng heaved a sigh of relief. The horse king had never been to the Grand Master Hall, so he had to show them the way. After entering the inner city, Gu Jiao sat in the outer seat of the carriage. Chengdu was particularly congested today. The carriage was stuck in the middle of a road not long after. In a room on the second floor of a tea house facing the street, a man in his 30s in a black shirt sat in front of the window, looking at the traffic jam. One of the carriages caught his attention. There was nothing strange about the carriage itself. The horse was the main attraction. The other horses stayed where they were. Only this one was restless, looking around to catch butterflies. "What kind of stupid horse is this?" the man muttered. His eyes followed the horse and landed on the coachman. The coachman was a young man in green, with a red birthmark on the left side of his face. "It's him," the man's lips curled up. He actually entered the inner city. Han Shizi followed his gaze and quickly found Gu Jiao in the carriage. He frowned. "Xiao Lulang? Master, do you know him?" The man called Master by Han Shizi was Master Nan Sr. Qi Xian. Qi Xian remained calm and unruffled as he looked at the green-clothed youth sitting in the carriage, who was stuck in a traffic jam. He smiled faintly and said, "I told you before that I met my junior sister from the Tang sect last time. There's one more thing I didn't tell you. There's an interesting person around my junior." Xiao Lulang. Han Shizi was surprised. Qi Xian smiled and said, "I think I know who killed Nangongli." Han Shizi frowned. "Are you saying that the murderer is Xiao Lulang?" Qi Xian smiled and shook the teacup in his hand. "I can't think of anyone else." Han Shizi shook his head. How could he kill Nangong Li with his martial arts? Nangong Li has lost an arm, but even so, Xiao Lulang is definitely not Nangong Li's match. Qi Xian said, "He defeated a few Shaolin monks last time. I remember that you guys are forbidden to use internal energy in the boxing competition." Han Shizi said, "That's right." Qi Xian smiled and said, "How many people in Chengdu do you think can defeat a Shaolin body refining warrior monk without using internal force? Also, didn't the autopsy results come out? Nangong Li didn't suffer any internal injuries. He was killed by a tree branch that was used as a spear to pierce his heart. As far as I know, only the Xian Yuan family's spear technique can do that." Han Shizi was shocked. Qi Xian looked at the young man in the carriage. "When I went to see my junior, I fought with this Xiao Lulang. Although he only used one move, I can be sure that he used the Xian Yuan family spear technique." Han Shizi frowned. There are two suspicious points. First, why did he kill Nangong Li? Second, how did he know the Xian Yuan family's spear technique? Qi Xian took a sip of tea. "I don't know. This young man seems to be hiding a lot of secrets. Didn't you say that the Han family found out that Nangong Li secretly went to the Zhao kingdom not long ago? Not long after he came back, a few people from the Zhao kingdom came to Chengdu. Don't you think there's a connection?" Han Shizi said, "My second uncle guessed that those people from the Zhao kingdom were masters that Nangong Li brought from the Zhao kingdom. Their purpose was to deal with our Han family. However, if what master said is true, that Nangong Li died at the hands of Xiao Lulang, then Xiao Lulang and the Nangong family are not in cahoots." Qi Xian smiled. The relationship between people is not limited to friends. It can also be enemies. Maybe Nangong Li offended someone in the Zhao kingdom. Han Shitzi pondered for a moment and said seriously, if Xiao Lulang is really so powerful, then perhaps the Han family can forget about the past and consider taking him for our own use. Qi Xian put down the teacup lightly and picked up a piece of crab cake from the plate. Looking at the exquisite and delicious crab cake, he said, I'm afraid you can't bribe him. Han Shitzi was puzzled. Master, why do you say that? Qi Xian hinted with his eyes. Do you remember when you were put in a sack on the street? There it was that boy who did it. Han Shitzi was shocked. How could it be him? Qi Xian said, I found half of a tangerine needle that was broken into a crack in the wall. That was my junior sister's favorite hidden weapon. It couldn't have been my junior sister who sneak attacked you. My junior sister is over 30 years old. Her figure is different from a young man's. Han Shitzi recalled. The one who sneak attacked me that day was indeed a young man. Qi Xian sighed with emotion. This boy is really not simple. He knows the Xianyuan family's spear skills and the Tang family's hidden weapons. Han Shitzi's expression was complicated. He dared to offend two big families at once. He is indeed not simple. Qi Xian looked at the street that was beginning to clear up. His smile faded and he said seriously, offend? No, he doesn't care about the big families at all. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/896429_89642826/1072658002. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 696. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are available here. The weather was hot and humid. After a quarter of an hour of congestion, the carriage finally started to move slowly. The first half of the journey was very congested, but it was smooth as it approached the State Master's Hall. It turned out that the people who wanted to see the State Master had been persuaded to leave by the disciples of the State Master's Hall, leaving only a dozen people who refused to give up. Gu Jiao's carriage stopped opposite the State Master's Hall. She jumped off the carriage, took the token of the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms, and walked to the gate. A disciple of the State Master's Hall was persuading the people who refused to leave. The State Master has only seen 3 guests today, and he has already seen 2 of them. If you have a visiting card, please take it out quickly. If not, please go back. You can come back to the State Master's Hall in the future with a visiting card. Oh, a visiting card. Gu Jiao touched her chin. The disciple of the State Master's Hall had never seen Gu Jiao before, but he still asked politely, Young Master, do you have a visiting card? I don't have a visiting card, only this. Gu Jiao handed the token of the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms to the disciple of the State Master's Hall. The disciple of the State Master's Hall took a look and said in surprise, Young Master, please come in. Someone was unhappy. Hey, why can he enter? Yeah? He doesn't have a visiting card either. We have waited for so long. If anyone wants to enter, it should be us first. The disciple of the State Master's Hall explained, This young master is holding the token of the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms, Mr. Meng. Mr. Meng is an important guest of the State Master's Hall. The people he recommends can enter the State Master's Hall directly. Okay, today's 3 places are full. Everyone, please go back. Seriously, we have waited for so long for nothing. Exactly. We shouldn't have come. He looks so poor. Who knows if his token is fake or not? The disciple of the State Master's Hall shook his head helplessly, as if he was worried that Gu Jiao would thank him. He said, Young Master, don't take it to heart. They don't have a visiting card from the State Master's Hall, so they can't enter. It has nothing to do with you. Gu Jiao said, "Oh, I'm fine." The little brother was quite considerate. "Young master, please follow me." The disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace led Gu Jiao inside. The two of them had just turned around and walked inside when a carriage suddenly appeared behind them. The carriage had just stopped, and a white-robed young girl jumped down while lifting her skirt. It was obvious that she was a little anxious. "Please wait a moment," she called out to the disciples of the Imperial Preceptor Hall. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Gu Jiao and the other disciples of the Imperial Preceptor Hall turned their heads. "It's you." When the other party saw Gu Jiao, he was stunned. "Why are you here?" Gu Jiao looked at Mu Ru Xin, who had appeared in a hurry, and asked, "Why can't I be here?" Mu Ru Xin looked at the majestic and solemn plaque above her head. With a slight frown, she said, "This is the Imperial Advisor's Hall. You shouldn't be here." The disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Hall asked, "May I ask what's the matter, miss?" Mu Ru Xion's attitude toward the disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace was much better. She politely said, "I'm here to seek an audience with the Imperial Preceptor. I have a visiting card." After saying that, she took out a golden visiting card from her wide sleeve. The disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace immediately recognized that it was a genuine visiting card from the Imperial Preceptor Palace. However, he still tactfully declined. "My apologies, Mississippi. You're a little late. Our Imperial Preceptor will only see 3 guests today. This young master is the last one. He's just a citizen of a lower country. How can he have the qualifications to meet the Imperial Preceptor?" Mu Ru Xin raised the visiting card in her hand. Not only did she say this to the disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace, but she also said this to the other 2 disciples who were guarding the door. "Look carefully. This is a visiting card from the Chess Manor. The Imperial Preceptor personally gave it to the Chess Manor. It should be a visiting card of the highest grade. I don't care where this person got the visiting card from. He doesn't have the qualifications to be in front of me." Visiting cards were also divided into different grades. The first grade was the golden card, the second grade was the silver card, and the third grade was the blue card. Among them, only the golden card was personally stamped by the Imperial Preceptor. Those who had the qualifications to receive the golden card were usually members of the imperial family. The Chess Manor had luckily obtained one, and it had always been regarded as a treasure. Mu Ru Xin had spent a lot of effort to cure the coughing illness of the Chess Manor's heir in exchange for this golden card. Even if the heirs of the top 10 families came today, they couldn't surpass her. The disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace frowned slightly. "May I ask which country Miss is from?" Mu Ru Xin choked. The tone of the disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace became milder. "Mrs. from the Chun Kingdom, right?" Mrs.'s accent is very thick from the Chun Kingdom's accent. On the other hand, I can't hear the accent of this young master from the other countries. The corner of Mu Ru Xion's mouth twitched. Are all the disciples of the Imperial Preceptor Palace so abnormal? Even their accent can be heard. Mu Ru Xin was publicly exposed as a citizen of a lower country. She felt humiliated and angry. She glared fiercely at Gu Jiao. "Why is it that nothing good ever happens when I meet someone from the Zhao Kingdom?" She still hadn't settled the debt of slapping her and dislocating her arm. Now he was here to snatch her qualifications to meet the Imperial Preceptor. No matter what, she wouldn't let him have his way. Ask him to take out the card to see if he's a golden card like me. Before Mu Ru Xin could finish her sentence, the disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace showed the token that he didn't have time to return to Gu Jiao. He said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "This young master is holding old Mr. Meng's token. Old Mr. Meng is an honored guest of the Imperial Preceptor Palace. His token is far more qualified than the golden card in your hand." Mu Ru Xion's pupils shrank. "Impossible. How can he have old Mr. Meng's token? This must be fake." Mu Ru Xin didn't come alone. There was another carriage parked behind her carriage. An elegant man walked down from the carriage. He looked to be in his early 40s. He had a thin figure and a goatee. With his hands behind his back, he walked over with an aloof expression. It's fortunate that I came today. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that someone was using the chess manor's name to swindle others. Mu Ru Xin hurriedly turned around and greeted the other party. Her tone was gentle. Great Master Feng, the disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace, frowned as he looked at the other party. Who are you? Mu Ru Xin smiled faintly. You keep saying that old Mr. Meng is an honored guest of your Imperial Preceptor Palace. Can't you recognize that this is old Mr. Meng's eldest disciple, Great Master Feng Yuhua? Old Mr. Meng was the chess saint. His eldest disciple was respectfully addressed as Great Master. The disciple of the Imperial Preceptor Palace cupped his hands. So it's Great Master Feng. It's an honor to meet you. Feng Yuhua glanced at Gu Jiao and said without any trace of politeness, I don't know this person. The token he's holding, it's true. When Feng Yuhua saw the token that was handed over, she was even more surprised than Mu Ru Xin. Mu Ru Xin asked, Great Master Feng, what's wrong? You. Feng Yuhua held the token in her hand and turned it over to confirm. It's Master's token. Why is Master's token in your hands? Where did you steal it? I didn't steal it. Gu Jiao said. Mu Ru Xin mocked. If you didn't steal it, where did this token come from? Everyone knows that old Mr. Meng has gone missing and his whereabouts are still unknown. How could his token appear in your hands so coincidentally? When the commoners who had left heard Mu Ru Xion's voice, they turned back and lined up to watch a good show. When Mu Ru Xion saw so many people, she wanted to make Gu Jiao lose face even more. Do you need me to remind everyone that you're a habitual offender? You once pretended to be a doctor and went to the in-country duke's residence to swindle people. Fortunately, I discovered it in time. Otherwise, the in-country duke would have been cured by you. The surrounding commoners began to whisper among themselves. Aya, he's so young. How can he be so shameless? He even deceived a good person like the in-country duke. How heartless can he be? He even stole the chess saint's token. The Imperial Preceptor Palace doesn't care. They actually want to bring this kind of person in to see the Imperial Preceptor. That's right. Mu Ru Xin smugly raised the corner of her lips. Xiao Lulang, admit it. You stole the token. Feng Yuhua also said coldly, I've never seen you before. The chess saint definitely wouldn't give you the token. You'd better tell the truth, otherwise. Otherwise what? An old voice that was neither salty nor light came from the back of the crowd. Feng Yuhua's body froze, and she looked toward the other party. The crowd unconsciously opened up a path. Old Mr. Meng walked over with a gloomy expression. Mu Ru Xin and the other commoners had never seen old Mr. Meng before. From his clothes and appearance, he looked like an ordinary old man. Mu Ru Xin said arrogantly, Where are you from? I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. The person beside me is the chess saint's eldest disciple, the current owner of the chess manor. Old Mr. Meng stood beside Gu Jiao and looked at Feng Yuhua mockingly. Owner? Feng Yuhua's face paled. Shut up. Mu Ru Xin was shocked. Great Master Feng was scolding her? She cured his stubborn cough that had plagued him for many years. He treated her as a guest and even personally sent her to the Imperial Preceptor's Hall today. Why did he suddenly? Feng Yuhua broke out in cold sweat. He wiped it with his sleeve and cupped his hands toward old Mr. Meng. He stuttered and couldn't say anything. He was so arrogant just now, but now he was so hesitant. Old Mr. Meng said sternly, Kneel. Feng Yuhua fell to his knees. Digression, looking at the monthly votes in the bookstore, I'm 5 votes away from reaching 1,000. Let's reach 1,000. I'll go write the 3rd chapter. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964226/107265170. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 697. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are available here. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. Master Feng of the Chess Manor actually knelt down to an old man. Gu Jiao tilted her head to look at Elder Meng. Mu Ru Xian's expression changed greatly. She gradually felt that something was wrong. Master Feng was the #1 person in the Chess Manor after Elder Meng. To be able to make him kneel, could it be teacher? Master Feng knelt down with a trembling voice. The word teacher was like a hammer that smashed all the confidence and arrogance that Mu Ru Xian had built up because of Master Feng. She looked at Master Feng, who was kneeling on the ground and didn't even dare to raise his head. Her heart received a huge blow. So this was the power of the chess saint of the 6 countries? The dignified son of the Feng family actually knelt before a person from a lower country. He was so respectful, sincere, and humble that he didn't dare to show the slightest disrespect. That was the Feng family, the 9th-ranked family. Elder Meng was originally from the Zhao kingdom. He was granted amnesty by the king and settled in Shang due to become a citizen of Shang kingdom. Mu Ru Xian felt a burning flame rising from the bottom of her heart. It burned her heart and lungs, making her feel both painful and excited. Once she became a citizen of Shang kingdom, she wouldn't have to look at anyone's face anymore. Elder Meng's aura was fully released as he looked coldly at his unfilial disciple on the ground. He said sarcastically, "I didn't even know when you became the master of the Chess Manor." Feng Yuhua's body trembled as she hurriedly explained, "Teacher, that's just nonsense. The Chess Manor belongs to teacher. The plaque bestowed by His Majesty the King still hangs in the main hall. The first Chess Manor is bestowed to Elder Meng. How could this student dare to claim to be the master of the Chess Manor?" He really resented Mu Ru Xian to death now. Some words should be said in one's heart. How could she say it out loud? Wouldn't that be making people talk? Elder Meng continued to question. "Who did you say stole the token?" Student. No matter how stupid Feng Yuehua was, she could tell that the kid's token was personally given by the chess saint. She did not understand. She had coveted that token for so many years and had not even allowed the chess saint to take a look at it. How could he be so generous as to give it to someone else? Old Mr. Meng thought to himself, "Even I can't bear to bully a child. Do you think it's your turn to slander him?" Old Mr. Meng snatched the token from Feng Yuehua's hand and wiped it carefully with his sleeve before handing it to Gu Jiao. "I'll take it." Gu Jiao, "Oh." Feng Yuehua didn't feel good at all. "If you want to take the token back, just take it back. Why do you still have to wipe it?" Old Mr. Meng said to Feng Yuehua, "You apologize to your junior sister, junior brother." Feng Yu was shocked. Gu Jiao looked at Mr. Meng in confusion. "When did I become your disciple?" Mr. Meng coughed softly and coaxed in a low voice, "Give me some face, give me some face." Gu Jiao, Feng Yuehua did not expect that after the chess saint went out for a trip, he would come back with a junior. Where could he go to reason with her? Mr. Meng nodded and said, "Well, you don't even listen to me anymore. It seems that I can't order you around anymore." This won't do. This old man chased away 58 disciples before. He was the only one who persisted. He had endured for more than 10 years and was about to succeed. It was not worth it to be chased out of the sect at this critical juncture. He stood up and cupped his hands toward Gu Jiao. Junior brother, I was wrong. I apologize to you. Gu Jiao, who suddenly had a senior brother, was speechless. All right, you can go in first. Didn't you have something urgent to look for the state preceptor? Mr. Meng would definitely not give Gu Jiao a chance to regret. Was it easy to take in a disciple? He had waited so long for this opportunity. The timing was right. I don't care if you admit it or not. I will admit you anyway. Gu Jiao frowned. She felt that the old man was scheming against her. But she really didn't have time to waste here. She went in with the state preceptor's disciples. Mu Ru Xin looked at Gu Jiao's departing figure and couldn't help but clench her fists. She couldn't accept it. She really couldn't accept it. Why was this brat's luck so good when they were both from a lower country? First, he got acquainted with Mr. Ching Chun. Then, he got acquainted with the Su family's third young mistress. Now, even the chess sage of the 6 countries wanted to take him in as a disciple. He was obviously a good-for-nothing fellow. Mr. Meng, can I ask you? No. Mr. Meng rudely interrupted Mu Ru Xin. He wasn't deaf. He had heard every single word that this Chen citizen had said to slander Gu Jiao. He coldly said, "You aren't a member of the chess manor. I don't have the right to discipline you." On the surface, he was saying that he didn't have the right. But in reality, he was completely cutting ties with Mu Ru Xin. No matter what kind of relationship Mu Ru Xin had with his eldest disciple, it didn't matter to him. She shouldn't try to cheat him. Mr. Meng pointed at Mu Ru Xin and called over the 2 state preceptor's disciples on duty. He sternly said, "Your state preceptor once promised me 3 things. He said that I could make any 3 requests of your state preceptor's hall. Now my first request is that this Chen citizen is never allowed to step into the state preceptor's hall." Mu Ru Xion's face paled. Not being able to enter the state preceptor's hall wasn't scary. What was scary was that once this news spread, the whole of Shang would know that she had offended the state preceptor's hall. What was the state preceptor's hall? It was an existence that even the 10 great families didn't dare to provoke. If she was hated by the state preceptor's hall, would she still have the chance to become a citizen of Shang? Mu Ru Xin gritted her teeth and said, "Mr. Meng, I cured your eldest disciple. You can't bite the hand that feeds you." As soon as she said that, she saw Feng Yuhua clutching her throat in an extremely exaggerated manner. She fell to the ground and coughed violently. Her eyes rolled back and she kept twitching. Mu Ru Xin. Gu Jiao didn't know that Mr. Meng had stayed behind to teach Mu Ru Xin a lesson for her. She was brought to the state preceptor's courtyard by the state preceptor's disciple. Gu Jiao asked, "So everyone in the state preceptor's hall knows Mr. Meng?" The disciple smiled. "That's right, except for a few new disciples. I'm a distinguished guest of the state preceptor's hall. I'm the state preceptor's most sincere friend, the great chess saint of the 6 countries, Mr. Meng." Thinking about the embarrassing lines she had written for the old man, Gu Jiao silently clenched her fists. It's fine. If she wasn't embarrassed, the others would be. The state preceptor's residence was in a bamboo forest. They had to walk across a small arch bridge. The scenery was pleasant and the path was deep and serene. The overall style of this place was somewhat different from the state preceptor's hall. It had a profound feeling. The state preceptor lives over there. The disciple pointed at the purple bamboo forest not far away. So it's the purple bamboo forest. Gu Jiao subconsciously thought it was the green bamboo forest. "That's right, what's your name?" "My name is Yu He," the disciple said. As they talked, the 2 entered the purple bamboo forest. A cool breeze blew in the forest. The fragrance of the purple bamboo was refreshing. Thinking about Gu Yan's surgery soon, Gu Jiao's mood improved. "We're here," the disciple said. "We'll wait here for the people inside to come out." The 2 stood outside a wooden fence. Inside the wooden fence was a large bare courtyard. Further inside, there were 3 small bamboo houses. The door of the middle bamboo house was open, but the bamboo curtain was lowered, so it was difficult to see inside. Gu Jiao had no intention of eavesdropping on the conversation between the state preceptor and the guest. However, her hearing was too good. She still heard someone say, "Is this really the only way?" It was the voice of a young man. Gu Jiao didn't hear the state preceptor's reply. Instead, she heard the young man say, "I understand. No matter what, thank you for meeting me." In a moment, the bamboo curtain was lifted by a delicate hand with distinct joints. A young Taoist priest, wearing a dark blue Taoist robe, stepped out. He put on his shoes on the steps and walked out of the courtyard with a cold expression. Gu Jiao stared at him. She thought that this Taoist priest was too good-looking. Nowadays, not only were monks good-looking, even Taoists were so handsome. Taoist priest Qing Feng. Yui cupped his hands and greeted the other party. Taoist priest Qing Feng slightly returned the greeting. Gu Jiao blinked. He was even more handsome up close. The handsome monk didn't look like a monk. This Taoist priest did have a sage-like aura. Taoist priest Qing Feng also greeted Gu Jiao. Then, without waiting for Gu Jiao to return the greeting, he turned and left. Yui introduced him to Gu Jiao. He's Taoist priest Qing Feng. Before he became a monk, he was a student of Jianan Academy. Jianan Academy was founded by the state preceptor. Yui, is the last guest here? A deep and mellow voice came from the bamboo house. In this vast world, it made people's hearts tremble. It was as if their souls had been knocked. Yui bowed to the bamboo house. Yes, state preceptor. He's old Master Meng's little disciple. Oh, the person in the house was surprised. Come in, he said. Yui brought Gu Jiao into the courtyard. He couldn't go in, so he could only watch as she walked up the steps. She took off her shoes and walked through the curtain in her white footwear. In the dim room, there was only a small table, 2 cushions, and an incense burner. The small table was facing the door. The person behind the table was wearing a black robe with a golden qilin embroidered on the cuffs. He wore a black hat, and his face was hidden in the dark. His back was straight, and his body was like pine and bamboo. At his level, he no longer had to emit any sort of aura. Everything was contained within, returning to one's original state. Returning to one's original state. Was this the state preceptor of the Yan dynasty, who was worshipped as a god? Gu Jiao sat down opposite him. The light changed, and Gu Jiao finally saw his face. Gu Jiao was stunned. Digression. Thank you for your monthly votes. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet can be found here. https://www.zhbqg.com/8964/_896426/1072627224. HTML Genius memorized the site's address. www.zhbqg.com Biku Go mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 698. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. This was a face that Gu Jiao would recognize even if it turned into ashes. It was an outline that couldn't be changed no matter if it was young, old, healthy, or sick. Gu Jiao was about to say strange but unchanged, but it was stuck in her throat. She looked at him in a daze. After a while she asked, "Godfather?" The state preceptor raised his eyes from the light and looked at Gu Jiao with slight confusion. Gu Jiao's straight shoulders drooped slightly. Her eyes were different, but it was really too similar. If one day Godfather was old, he would look like this. The state preceptor asked calmly, "What is your surname and what do you want?" Godfather wouldn't call him young master, nor would he use such a calm tone. So it was really just a person who looked exactly the same. Gu Jiao's eyes fell on the state preceptor's teacup. His teacup was placed on her left-hand side, as were the inkstone and pen holder. He was left-handed. What a coincidence. So was Godfather. She was brought back to the organization by Godfather when she was 8 years old. All her skills were taught by Godfather. Although Godfather was very strict and seemed unreasonable, if it wasn't for Godfather, she would have killed herself when she lost control for the first time when she was 8 years old. Gu Jiao collected her thoughts and looked at the elder in front of her. She was not in a hurry to speak. Instead, she looked at the state preceptor and asked if she could borrow his pen and paper. The state preceptor raised his hand and asked Gu Jiao to do as she pleased. Gu Jiao picked up the pen and paper on the table and wrote an advanced mathematics question from her previous life. She turned the paper around and pushed it in front of the state preceptor. The state preceptor created the 6 books of the Yen Kingdom. One of them was in the hands of Xiao Hong. It recorded the mathematics knowledge from her previous life and was translated into the native language of the Yen Kingdom. That evidence was not enough. Gu Jiao wanted to personally confirm that she wrote simplified Chinese characters. If the state preceptor was really a transmigrated senior, he would have recognized him. When the imperial tutor saw the question, his expression changed. Gu Jiao felt that his body seemed to tremble. Gu Jiao's eyes lit up. Did you see something? The imperial preceptor sighed and said truthfully, I haven't seen such ugly calligraphy for many years. It really stings my eyes. Gu Jiao, because the words were too ugly, the state preceptor had to spend a lot of effort to barely recognize that it was a question. He stared at the question, picked up the pen, and wrote down the process of solving the question and the answer. She used the same simplified Chinese characters as Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao took it and looked at it. She pursed her lips and said, Your writing isn't good either. How dare you criticize me? I haven't written for decades. So you're really, me too. Smart people did not need to beat around the bush. They also did not need to be secretive or afraid. Gu Jiao knew very well what she was here for. Her identity as a transmigrator would be exposed sooner or later, unless the state preceptor was not from her time and space. But if he was not, then he would not be able to create the operating room that Gu Yan needed. So Gu Jiao would rather he wasn't expose herself. The state preceptor looked at Gu Jiao in shock. His pupils shone. I really didn't expect this. It's been so many years. It's been so many years. Gu Jiao understood how the state preceptor felt. From what she knew, the state preceptor came to the Yen Kingdom 30 years ago. He had been wandering in a different world for 30 years. Finally, he met someone from the same time and space as himself. He must be very excited. Gu Jiao did not look that excited, because she did not have the same strong emotions as normal people. But if she had to describe her feelings, it would be that she was a little happy. She did not need her own kind. So strictly speaking, most of her happiness came from the hope of curing Gu Yan. At the state preceptor's age, he had experienced too many ups and downs and had seen through life and death. He quickly accepted the fact in front of him. He asked, Can you tell me about your situation? Gu Jiao thought for a while and said concisely, I'm from the 22nd century. Now, I'm from the Zhao Kingdom. The state preceptor said thoughtfully, a century later than me. How did you come here? Gu Jiao said thoughtfully, the plane crashed. Where is the state preceptor? The state preceptor said with a trace of reminiscence, I was looking for someone. Then I came here. It sounded very specific, but it was a little empty. He still did not explain the reason why he left that time and space. But it did not matter. Gu Jiao did not come here to inquire about the state preceptor's privacy and past. Then how did you find out my identity? The state preceptor asked. Gu Jiao could not say that the stolen letter of credence of the Yen Kingdom was in their hands. It sounded a little exciting. Although they were from the same hometown, she could not expose too much. Gu Jiao said, I heard some of your deeds and felt that you might be like me. But I was not sure, so I tested you first. The state preceptor nodded. I see. The tea on the stove was boiling. A disciple came from the backyard and sat down. He made tea for Gu Jiao and then left silently. Then you came to me, today. The state preceptor looked at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao said, to be honest, I have a friend who has a very serious heart disease and needs an immediate operation. I want to borrow the operating room of the state preceptor palace. Last time Yi Qing received the person who came to the state preceptor palace to inquire about the operating room was you? You were brought here by Senior Meng? Yi Qing was the eldest disciple of the state preceptor palace. When Gu Jiao came to the state preceptor palace for the first time, the state preceptor was not there. It was Yi Qing who received her. Gu Jiao nodded, that's me. The state preceptor looked at Gu Jiao meaningfully. Senior Meng said that he met a little girl who was good at chess in the Zhao kingdom. Gu Jiao, so she still fell for him? The state preceptor smiled with tolerance. It doesn't matter. I won't tell anyone whether you are a boy or a girl. After saying that, he stood up and looked at Gu Jiao. Next time, stick your Adam's apple straight. It's crooked. Gu Jiao touched her fake Adam's apple. Oh. The state preceptor said, come with me. Gu Jiao followed the state preceptor out of the bamboo house. He had already left. Only a disciple who had served Gu Jiao tea just now followed them silently. The state preceptor looked at the disciple behind him and then looked at the basket on Gu Jiao's back and asked, is the basket heavy? Gu Jiao shook her head. No, I can carry it myself. The state preceptor did not insist. The two walked out of the bamboo forest and went all the way to the library of the state preceptor palace. You used to study medicine? The state preceptor asked. Kind of. Gu Jiao said, I was a surgeon and learned a little Chinese medicine. Where is the state preceptor? Are you also a medical student? The state preceptor shook his head. No. Gu Jiao was stunned. Then the operating room. The state preceptor pointed to the front. You will know when you get there. Gu Jiao had a strange feeling in her heart, as if there would be a change. The two of them passed by the library and came to a magnificent side hall. White marble was used as the floor tiles, and Phoebe Jinan wood was used as the roof beams. The richly ornamented beams and painted rafters were luxurious and expensive. It was a completely different world from the shabby bamboo hut. It was hard to believe that the state preceptor, who had such a luxurious place, was willing to stay in such a shabby room. The disciples who were busy in the hall bowed to the state preceptor when they saw him. The state preceptor took Gu Jiao to the corridor on the right, and they went all the way to the end. There was a room with a locked iron door, which was guarded by two men of sacrifice. Gu Jiao could feel that the two men of sacrifice were as powerful as Sirius. Sirius was the first real master that Gu Jiao met after she came to this strange world. So he became her benchmark to judge the men of sacrifice. Open it. The state preceptor said. One of the men of sacrifice took out a key and opened the bronze lock on the iron door. The other man of sacrifice pushed the heavy iron door open. It was not difficult to feel the weight of the iron door just by listening to the dull sound. The state preceptor entered the room first, and then he turned to Gu Jiao and said, come in. Gu Jiao stepped over the threshold. What she saw was an ordinary room that could not be more ordinary. It was empty, and there was nothing. Gu Jiao opened her mouth and said, this is the state preceptor signaled the men of sacrifice outside to close the iron door. After the iron door was closed, the room instantly became dark. He said to Gu Jiao, the operation room. Gu Jiao opened her eyes wide and said, but there is not even a stool here. The state preceptor came to the wall facing the iron door, raised his hand and gently closed it. He looked over Gu Jiao's shoulder and said, take out the things in your basket and put them in. Gu Jiao subconsciously put her hand on her small basket. The state preceptor said casually, don't worry, I won't take your things. Besides, I have no use for them, right? Gu Jiao was even more shocked. This guy was so powerful. He seemed to be able to see through everything. He even knew that only she could open the small medicine box. The state preceptor looked at Gu Jiao and did not force her. He just smiled and asked, are you sure you don't want to bring it over? The operation room is in another dimension. Without that thing, none of us can enter. The small medicine box could bring her here, and it did have the ability to tear through space and time. Moreover, it was connected to the research institute in her previous life, and it could provide her with the medicine she needed. But these were her secrets. How did he know? As if he sensed the doubts in Gu Jiao's heart, the state preceptor patiently waited for Gu Jiao to make her choice. However, he did not intend to explain to Gu Jiao. Well, everyone had their own secrets. It was his ability to see through them, but it was his freedom to not explain. Gu Jiao walked over and put down the small basket. She took out the small medicine box, covered with a cotton cloth, and put it in the wall. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhpqg.com/89642_896426/107246257. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhpqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhpqg.com. Chapter 699. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet here. It was drizzling in Chengdu at 9 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Meng took his rebellious disciple to a pavilion in the State Master's palace to take shelter from the rain. It was near the gate. If Gu Jiao came out, she would see them at a glance. The disciples of the State Master's palace served tea and snacks. Mr. Meng sat down quietly and tasted the tea. Feng Yuehua didn't have the honor. He had just gotten into big trouble. Now he was standing beside Mr. Meng like a big quail that had done something wrong. Gu Jiao was the only one who didn't treat the old master as the chess sage. The rest of the people, especially the whole chess shop, had all offended the old master. The old master was bad-tempered, irritable, picky, and unreasonable. He often kicked his disciples out. Feng Yuehua was not the first disciple of Mr. Meng, but she was the only one who stayed. That was why she became the first disciple. The reason why Mr. Meng was so confident was that he was a distinguished guest of the State Master's palace. Secondly, he was appreciated by the monarch. Thirdly, he was indifferent to fame and fortune. He didn't care about worldly possessions, nor was he afraid of death. He earned money as he lived. It didn't matter if he didn't live. He had no weakness and no ambition. Naturally, he had nothing to fear. Mr. Meng had just finished a cup of tea. Feng Yuehua quickly filled it for him. She smiled embarrassedly and said, "Teacher, where have you been these days? I looked for you everywhere, but I didn't hear anything about you. Your coachman also went back to the countryside. I couldn't find him." Mr. Meng gave the coachman a leave. He didn't want those guys from the chess shop to disturb him after they found out where he lived. Mr. Meng snorted. He didn't want to talk to this rebellious disciple at the moment. What was wrong with her? How could she mix with such a scheming person? Don't say that he was old and shouldn't argue with a little girl. Was this a matter of arguing or not? She bullied his disciple. He was merciful that he didn't beat her up. Yes, from today on, the girl was his disciple. He didn't allow her to refuse. Feng Yuehua asked embarrassedly, "Teacher, what's wrong with Junior Brother? Where did you meet little Junior Brother? Have you been by Junior Brother's side all this time?" Mu Ru thought to herself, "He's from a lower country. Which country is he from? Is he from the state of Zhao?" Old Mr. Meng came from the state of Zhao, so Feng Yuehua naturally thought that if he accepted a disciple, he would try his best to take care of the people of Zhao. Old Master Meng snorted coldly. "You have the time to ask about this, but you don't have the time to wipe your eyes? Feng Yuhua said in a low voice, "Teacher, I know my mistake. I shouldn't have given our Go Club's invitation to Mu Ru Xin." Old Master Meng looked as if he couldn't wait to hack him to death. Feng Yuehua's neck shrank. "I shouldn't have personally sent her to the Imperial Advisor Hall." Old Master Meng still wished he could chop him to death. Feng Yuehua broke out in a cold sweat. Where exactly was she not right? "Why don't you say something?" Feng Yuehua wiped her cold sweat and said, I shouldn't have had any relationship with her." Old Mr. Meng continued to drink his tea. Feng Yuehua heaved a sigh of relief. "Damn, I finally got it right." Feng Yuehua looked inside the Imperial Advisor Hall and asked curiously, "Why is Junior Brother looking for the Imperial Advisor? Why hasn't he come out yet?" Speak of the devil. Gu Jiao, accompanied by Yu He, came from the other side of the road. Old Master Meng got up and walked out of the pavilion. Feng Yuehua hurriedly followed and reached out to help him down the steps. "Teacher, please slow down." The four met on the main road of the Imperial Advisor Hall. Yu He cupped his hands and bowed. Old Master Meng. Old Master Meng nodded slightly and looked at Gu Jiao beside Yu He. "How is it?" Gu Jiao said, "It's going well." Old Master Meng's eyebrows moved, and his eyes were hale and hearty. "How long can you?" Gu Jiao said. "As long as Ayan's physical condition permits, we can do it at any time." Feng Yuehua was confused. What kind of riddles are teacher and junior brother playing? Why can't I understand a word? Old Master Meng stroked his beard. "Good, very good. It's a worthwhile trip. Let's go back." "Teacher, are you going back to the chess club or—" Ouch! Feng Yuehua was halfway through her sentence when she felt a sharp pain on the back of her right foot. She bit her finger in pain. Old Master Meng pulled his foot back as if nothing had happened. He waved his old arms and ran forward in small steps without caring about his image. "Oh, I promised Yen, or that I would play chess with him today. Go back quickly. Go back quickly." Feng Yuehua was speechless. Gu Jiao was speechless. Old Master Meng acted like an old man and quickly came to the alley on the right side of the Imperial Advisor Hall. The carriage was parked there. But when Old Master Meng got there, he found a serious problem. The Horse King was missing. The Horse King's reins were originally tied to a post, but now the rope was gone. Old Master Meng was stunned, as if he had been struck by lightning. This is the territory of the Imperial Advisor Hall. Who has the guts to steal the horse tied here? Did anyone see it? A disciple nearby heard Old Master Meng's voice and came over. "No, we didn't see it. If there were any suspicious people, they would have been noticed by the patrolling men of sacrifice." So there was only one possibility. The Horse King had run away by itself. The Horse King liked to run around when it came out to pull the carriage. But no matter where it went, it would pull the carriage back as long as it had enough fun. So Gu Jiao usually let it be as long as she was not in a hurry. But if the carriage was parked somewhere, Gu Jiao would not allow it to run around. It had to look after the carriage. Gu Jiao touched her chin in confusion. What did it see? Old Master Meng thought of the Horse King's unruly behavior, and his face suddenly changed. Could it be that the stupid horse was kidnapped? On a quiet and empty street, the Horse King grinned and chased after a person and a horse in front of it. It was originally bored in the alley and was about to fall asleep. Suddenly, a black shadow flashed in front of his eyes, and its mane was blown up. The Horse King had never seen such a fast horse. It was so excited that it was not sleepy at all. It shook off the shaft of the carriage, bit off the reins, and chased after the person. Although the Horse King was only 2.5 years old, it was faster than most adult horses. It chased forward with all its might, but could not catch up easily. It did not give up and chased for several streets. The tall and valiant horse stopped in front of a mansion. The guard came forward and saluted. "Prince." Prince Han pulled the reins and said in a deep voice, "Open the door." The guard opened the door of the Han mansion. Prince Han rode in, and then closed the door with a bang. The Horse King wandered for a while not far away. It was a smart horse. Since it could not enter the gate, it circled around the mansion and found a grassland surrounded by a fence. At the end of the grassland, it could see a row of stables. The horse king retreated dozens of steps, adjusted its speed, and ran all the way. Then, it jumped over the fence in one go. It flashed past the sharp corner of the fence. The horse king's mane bristled. It almost became a horse. After the horse king landed on the ground, it rushed to the stables without stopping. Prince Han had just handed the horse to the Han family's horse trainer, Chu Nan. Chu Nan patted the horse's neck and said in amazement, "It's 17 years old, but it's still so strong." Generally speaking, a 17-year-old horse was around 50 years old. Its energy and condition had already begun to decline, but this horse seemed to still be in peak condition. Prince Han said proudly, "It's the Black Wind King." Chu Nan smiled. "You're right. Only the Black Wind King can do this in this world." Prince Han touched its mane and asked, "Can it still go to the battlefield?" Chu Nan smiled. "No problem." Prince Han nodded. "Take good care of it. Let it fight for a few more years." Chu Nan replied, "I know." After Prince Han left, Chu Nan brought the Black Wind King to its own big stables. It could not be kept with the other Black Wind Riders, or it would scare the horses. Chu Nan gave it some fine feed and sprinkled some salt. The Black Wind King used up a lot of energy. It was not enough to eat only grass or coarse feed. Fine feed and salt were indispensable. "Chu Nan, this horse seems to be injured. Come and take a look." Coming. Chu Nan did not have time to take away the feed bucket. He poured water into the water tank and went to the other stables. The horse king came after Chu Nan left. It originally came to fight with the Black Wind King, but the feed looked delicious. It squeezed to the side of the Black Wind King and began to fight for the food. It was the first time the horse met the Black Wind King who fought for food. The Black Wind King was angry. Its powerful aura overflowed. It raised its front hooves and smacked the horse king with its big mouth. The horse king was not to be trifled with. It stood up straight and raised its hooves to fight back. Then it was beaten very badly. The 2.5-year-old baby horse king was no match for the old Black Wind King. The horse king could not win. It stood up like a carp and went to the Black Wind King. It rubbed its head against the horse and tried to please it. After all, it was not an adult horse. The Black Wind King was not wary of the horse king. Plus, the horse king was acting obedient. After being rubbed for a while, the Black Wind King did not beat it when it went to eat again. But just because it did not beat the horse king did not mean that the horse king would not beat it. The horse king was the first to finish its meal. While the Black Wind King was busy eating, the horse king kicked him. After kicking the Black Wind King, the horse king ran away. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhpqg.com/89642_826/1072455562. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhpqg.com Beacage mobile reading website. zhpqg.com. Chapter 700. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. The Black Wind King had never been so humiliated before. It flew into a rage and chased after the Horse King with a murderous aura. The Horse King couldn't outrun the Black Wind King with its current strength, but it was running with all its might. Its potential was greatly stimulated, and the Black Wind King couldn't catch up to it. The more the Black Wind King chased, the angrier it got. It wanted to trample the Horse King to death. The Horse King didn't run to crowded places. It probably understood that it couldn't really cause trouble for Gu Jiao, so it tried to run to empty alleys with few people. As the two horses ran through an empty old street, a blue-clothed man in a carriage in the same direction lifted the curtain and suddenly said in surprise, "Big brother, look at what that is." The man in brown looked forward. "That's the Black Wind Rider of the Han family?" The man in blue said, "That's the Black Wind King, brother." The man in brown was surprised. Why would the Black Wind King run to the street like this? The Black Wind King was the Crown Prince's mount, the most valuable horse in Shang. Du didn't know that the Crown Prince treasured it. Why would he let it run out alone? The man in blue said, "Although I don't know why, brother. Haven't you always wanted a horse like the Black Wind King? Since the Crown Prince isn't here, why don't we?" The man in brown frowned. "Stealing Hanya's horse? Are you crazy?" The man in blue's eyes flashed with a hint of calculation. He smiled and said to his brother, "Brother, there's no one on this street. If we don't say anything, who will know that we stole his horse? He didn't tie up his horse and let it run out into the street. Even if we don't catch it, can you guarantee that others won't? Instead of letting others take advantage of it, we might as well take it." The brown-clothed young man looked ahead and asked, "Were there two horses just now?" The two horses ran in a straight line. The Horse King was blocked by the tall and strong Black Wind King. The man in blue smiled. "Yes, brother." The brown-robed man pondered. "A horse that even the Black Wind King couldn't catch up to. It must be a good horse." The blue-clothed man closed the fan in his hand and said, "Then I'll take both horses." The two of them got out of the carriage and used their qing gong to leap onto the roof and vault over the wall. They took a shortcut and circled above the two horses. The two of them exchanged glances. "Big brother, here." The blue-clothed man tossed a bottle of medicinal powder to the brown-clothed young man. Holding his breath, he took out a handkerchief and poured the powder on it. Then he jumped down and rode on the back of the Black Wind King. The brown-clothed youth said, "I'll leave the other horse to you. Big brother, don't worry. I'm coming." The blue-robed man did the same thing. He also got a handkerchief with medicinal powder on it and swept it down from the sky. Their handkerchiefs were covered in knockout powder. It was impossible to take down a wild horse like the Black Wind King without using some tricks. As for the other horse, it should be the Black Wind horse of the Han clan. Although it was not as powerful as the Black Wind King, it was better to be prepared. The two of them rode on their horses and used handkerchiefs to cover the mouths of their horses so that they could inhale the powder as quickly as possible. Even if the horses struggled, they would still be drugged. The effect of the powder was extremely strong. The powder from a fingernail was enough to knock out a cow. However, the two of them did not expect the two horses to be much more ferocious than they imagined. They did not even manage to sit properly before they were thrown off by the Black Wind King and the Horse King. The two of them almost died from the fall. After stabilizing himself, the blue-clothed man took out a porcelain bottle. The brown-clothed youth grabbed his wrist and asked, "What are you doing?" The blue-clothed man said, "Big brother, since the knockout powder won't work, we can only use gunpowder." The brown-clothed youth said coldly, "You're using gunpowder here. Are you worried that others won't be able to trace it back to us?" The blue-clothed man said, but the brown-clothed youth looked deeply at the Black Wind King in front of him and said, "Follow them. Let's go to another place." The blue-clothed man smiled. Big brother is smart. The two of them chased the Horse King and the Black Wind King all the way. As they chased, they felt that something was wrong. Big brother. They've run into the hunting ground. The hunting ground was surrounded by fences, but the two horses were not easy to deal with. They actually managed to climb over such high fences. "What should we do, big brother?" the blue-clothed man asked anxiously. The brown-clothed youth frowned and said regretfully, "What can we do? That's the royal hunting ground. Trespassers will be sentenced to death." The blue-clothed man said dispiritedly, "The duck that was in our hands flew away just like that." The Horse King did not know that it had broken into the royal hunting ground. It was the Wild Horse King, and the wilderness was its home ground. Therefore, it ran into the forest as soon as it saw it. After entering the forest, it really had the advantage of surviving in the wilderness. No matter how complicated the terrain was, it was not a problem for it. After instinctively sensing that the black mud in front of it was not right, it jumped high and landed in a safe place with great precision. The Black Wind King was invincible on the battlefield, but it was not as sensitive to the dangers in the forest as the Wild Horse King. It accidentally fell into a quagmire full of swamps. It could not run anymore, and the horse's hooves could no longer exert any strength. In the swamp, the greater the strength, the more the horse struggled, the faster it sank. In the blink of an eye, the swamp was over its knees. The Horse King ran behind the Black Wind King and looked back curiously. It saw that the Black Wind King had sunk into the swamp. It had an instinctive fear in that kind of place. It knew that it could not get close. It hesitated for a moment, then continued to run forward happily, ignoring the Black Wind King. But after running for a while, it stopped. It looked back at the Black Wind King, who was sinking deeper and deeper into the swamp. The Black Wind King's eyes were filled with grief and despair. The Black Wind King was not afraid of death, but the Black Wind King's destiny was to die on the battlefield, not to be drowned in a pool of mud. The Horse King was so conflicted that it turned around and bit its own tail. In the end, it carefully walked over. It overcame its instinctive fear of the swamp and slowly came to a place 3 feet away from the Black Wind King. That was the limit it could go. An inch forward was the swamp. It shouted at the Black Wind King. The Black Wind King did not move. It slowly collapsed and was swallowed by the swamp. The Horse King sniffed it and stretched out its head to reach it, but it could not reach it. It was always natural selection. It was never easy for wild horses to survive. Their natural enemies were not only the beasts, but also the dangers of the jungle. The Horse King had to give up, go around it, and leave this place. Gu Jiao and old Master Meng waited in the carriage, while Gu Jiao sat outside. About an hour later, the Horse King ran all the way back. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. "Oh, it's back." Old Master Meng lifted the curtain and took a look. He let out a long sigh of relief. "It's really back. I was scared to death." The Horse King came to the front of the carriage, but it did not obediently put on the saddle as usual. Instead, it bit Gu Jiao's clothes and pulled her out. After Gu Jiao got out of the carriage, the Horse King stood in front of Gu Jiao, indicating that it wanted to carry Gu Jiao. "Are you taking me somewhere?" Gu Jiao asked. The Horse King turned around. It meant that it was going to go, but it was impossible for Gu Jiao to ride it. Gu Jiao went to the gate of the State Master's palace. "Can you lend me a horse?" Gu Jiao borrowed a horse from the State Master's palace and followed the Horse King to the royal hunting ground. Gu Jiao did not know that it was the royal hunting ground. After the Horse King crossed it, she also. The fence was too high for the horses of the State Master's palace to cross. Gu Jiao had to tie the horse outside the fence and climbed over it with her bare hands. The swamp was not far away. Gu Jiao saw the big black horse sinking into the swamp after a few steps. The Black Wind King knew that struggling would only make it sink faster, so it gave up. Even so, it was almost swallowed up by the swamp. Only its long neck and saddle were still exposed. The huge pressure made it difficult for Black Wind King to breathe. The Horse King shouted at Black Wind King. Gu Jiao did not understand horse language, so she did not know what it was shouting. Gu Jiao took out a bundle of rope from her small basket, tied a knot at one end, and tied it around the Horse King's body. Then, she quickly cut off 2 long branches and placed them on the swamp. After making sure that both ends of the branches were pressed against the solid ground, she stepped on the branches and walked over. This was very dangerous. As long as the Black Wind King attacked her, she would lose her balance. Once she lost her balance, she would fall into the swamp. Fortunately, Black Wind King did not attack her. She came to Black Wind King's side, put the rope under the saddle, and tied a tight knot. Then she said to the Horse King, "Pull." It was very difficult for a 2.5-year-old Horse King to pull an adult Black Wind King that was almost completely submerged in the swamp. The Horse King's hooves slipped and it fell on the ground several times. Every time it fell, it stood up again. It bore the weight that it should not bear at its age. Finally, it pulled Black Wind King out of the swamp when it was exhausted. It fell to the ground and panted. Black Wind King also fell to the ground. It inhaled the poisonous gas in the swamp and showed symptoms of poisoning. In addition, there were some sharp things in the swamp that scratched its belly while it was struggling. Gu Jiao observed the horse. It also looked like a horse king, but it had a saddle and horseshoes on its feet, so it did not look like a wild horse king. Gu Jiao opened the small medicine box and began to clean its wounds. Digression. It's the third chapter of the novel. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhpqg.com/89642_896422826/1072424232. HTML Genius, memorize this website's address. www.zhpqg.com Biku mobile reading website. zhpqg.com. Chapter 701. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. After Han Shitzi came out of the stable, he went straight to his courtyard. Han Che had been waiting in his room for a long time. Big brother. Han Che saw him and went forward to greet him. Han Shitzi glanced at him. You've recovered? I've recovered long ago, he said. Even Big Brother has recovered. Why can't I recover? It would be fine if he didn't mention this. Now that he mentioned it, Han Shitzi's heart was filled with anger. Who would have thought that both of them would be beaten up by a student who came from another country? Of course, other than his second uncle Han Yong, he didn't let anyone else in the family know that he was put in a sack. Han Che only thought that he got hurt while practicing martial arts. Han Shitzi entered the room. Han Che followed. Big brother, you must be tired. Come, drink some water. He poured tea for Han Shitzi attentively. This was his own brother. To put it bluntly, Han Shitzi knew what he wanted from him. What do you want? Han Shitzi asked in a low voice. Han Che smiled. It's nothing. It's just that. I heard that Big Brother has trained a new batch of Black Wind Cavalry. Can you give me a powerful one? Black Wind Cavalry was very powerful. If he specifically said that, it meant that he didn't want an ordinary one. Han Shitzi didn't say anything. Han Che thought it's over. Big Brother will definitely say, you didn't cause enough trouble last time when you borrowed the Black Wind Cavalry. Unexpectedly, Han Shitzi didn't scold him. Han Shitzi picked up his teacup and suddenly said, didn't you take a fancy to that kid's horse? Huh? Han Che was stunned. What kid? He finally realized that the kid his big brother was talking about was Xiao Lulang from Chincheong Academy. He looked at Han Shitzi in a daze. Big brother. You, Han Shitzi took a sip of tea and lowered his eyes to hide the flash of darkness in them. He said, if he dies, his horse will be yours. Han Che's eyes widened in disbelief. Big brother, is what you said true? That horse king will be mine? Can I really have my own horse king? That was no ordinary horse king. It was the wild horse king that could leave the Black Wind Cavalry far behind. Chu Nen had said that it was only 2.5 years old and was not yet an adult, but it already had such strength. In time, it would become the #1 horse under the Black Wind King. Even though he couldn't get his big brother's Black Wind King, he was satisfied to have it. He was so immersed in the joy of obtaining the horse king that he didn't pay any attention to his elder brother's words of if he dies. However, his happiness did not last long before a piece of bad news descended from the sky. Your Highness. Your Highness. The servant's anxious voice came from outside the door. Han Shitzi frowned. He put down his teacup and asked, "What is it?" The servant stood at the door and said in a trembling voice, "Just now, Lord Chu Nen came and said that Black Wind King is missing." In the alley that was scorched by the scorching sun, Mr. Meng was sweating profusely. He was almost roasted into an old salted fish. He felt that if Gu Jiao and the Horse King did not return, he would have a heat stroke on the spot. Fortunately, when he was on his last breath, Gu Jiao finally returned with the Horse King. No, it wasn't just the Horse King. The Horse King and the horse from the State Preceptor Hall were pulling a cart together. Gu Jiao was sitting in front of the cart, and another horse was lying behind. Feng Yuehua had been chased away by Mr. Meng. He was the only one here. He walked over with sweat all over his forehead. What happened? Oh. Gu Jiao jumped down and patted the cart. "I borrowed it from someone on the way. I have to return it later." Mr. Meng was speechless. "Was I asking about the cart? It was a horse. What's wrong with this horse? Did you bring a horse home from the market because you wanted to eat horse meat?" Mr. Meng whispered to Gu Jiao, "Kid, this horse is so weak. It must have contracted the horse plague. Its meat can't be eaten." Gu Jiao was speechless. Black Wind King was speechless. The Black Wind King's condition was worse than Gu Jiao had expected. After the main injury in his abdomen was treated, he still could not walk on his own. Gu Jiao decided to bring him back for treatment first. The Black Wind King was covered in mud. The saddle was broken and kicked away by the Horse King. Therefore, no one recognized him as the famous Black Wind King. The disciples of the State Preceptor Hall warmly prepared a new cart for Gu Jiao to send the Black Wind King back. As for the cart that the Gu family borrowed, the disciples said that they would help Gu Jiao return it. Gu Jiao thanked them and got into the cart with Mr. Meng. The Horse King was injured when pulling the Black Wind King. Gu Jiao did not let him pull the cart. She used the horse from the State Preceptor Hall. The Horse King jumped in front of them happily. When the two carriages arrived at the house where they were temporarily staying, the sky was already dark. Madame Nan was wondering why Gu Jiao and Mr. Meng were gone for so long when she heard the sound of horse hooves outside. She quickly put down the half-plucked mung bean sprout in her hand and got up to open the door for Gu Jiao. She saw the Black Wind King being carried down on a stretcher by several disciples of the State Preceptor Hall. She was stunned and murmured, "Are we going to eat horse meat tonight?" Black Wind King was speechless. Gu Jiao was speechless. The disciples of the State Preceptor Hall carried the Black Wind King to the front yard and left. It was a horse found in the forest. Little 11 found it. Gu Jiao told the story of how Black Wind King rescued the horse from the swamp to Mistress Nan. Mr. Meng had heard it at the gate of the State Preceptor Hall. At that time, he did not realize it. This time, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. How could there be such a big forest in the inner city of Chengdu? Could it be that the child ran to the royal hunting ground? Maybe it was the royal horse. Forget it. The State Preceptor Hall sent the horse back. If the sky fell, the State Preceptor Hall would hold it up. Crown Prince Han found the inner city and turned the horse upside down. How could he know that his Black Wind King had already been sent out of the city by a spacious carriage with a big shed? There was a new horse at home. Gu Yan and Gu Shaoshun came over to watch the fun. Gu Jiao stopped her two brothers and said, "It needs to be washed first. Its body is full of poisonous swamp." Gu Shaoshun went to fetch water. Gu Jiao, Madame Nan, and Master Lu worked for half an hour to clean the swamp. Gu Jiao found that in addition to the big wound on its abdomen, there were many small wounds on its body. Gu Yan took the small medicine box and said, "Here you go." Gu Jiao took the small medicine box and put it on the stool. She took the disinfectant, tweezers, and cotton swabs. She squatted down and began to carefully clean the wounds on its body. The poison is so serious. It needs to take medicine in a while. If it can't take it, it needs to be put on a drip. Gu Jiao said, "Will it let you put it on?" Gu Yan asked. "If it doesn't, then tie it up." Gu Jiao said. When people were weak, they would become particularly docile. Horses were the same. Black Wind King lay there quietly. It let Gu Jiao do whatever she wanted to it. It didn't even move. Maybe it was because the poison was too serious that it didn't have any strength. Or maybe it was because no one here knew that it was the Black Wind King, so it didn't need to be too brave. Gu Jiao saw that the Black Wind King had some strength. She tried to feed it medicine, but the Black Wind King couldn't take it. Gu Jiao had to take out the drip and put the needles on it. Gu Yan squatted down beside Gu Jiao. He looked at the Black Wind King, who was obediently letting Gu Jiao put the needles on it, and said, "It's so beautiful." The Black Wind King was the same as the Horse King. They were both dark horses, but the Horse King was still a baby. Its hair wasn't fully developed, so it wasn't as shiny as the Black Wind King. Its entire body was dark and robust, yet it wasn't exaggerated. Every single inch of its muscles was restrained yet filled with strength, and it imperceptibly emitted an aura of nobility. Huh, it's a girl? Gu Yan saw Gu Jiao put a pink band-aid on it. Yes. Gu Jiao nodded. She looked at Gu Yan playfully and said, "But it should be older than you. Come, call it Aunt Ma." Gu Yan didn't know what to say. Gu Yan pointed at the Black Wind King and said, "I'm older than it." If he didn't admit it, then it wasn't older than him. All of the Black Wind Kings in the Xinyuan family were male horses. Only a little female horse had shown extraordinary strength and speed since it was young. It ran faster than all of its brothers. When it was 3 years old, it surpassed its father. When it was 6 years old, it defeated the previous Black Wind King and became the new leader of the Black Wind Cavalry. It was so strong that no one dared to laugh at it for being a female horse. Gu Jiao and Gu Yan didn't know this. They only thought that it was a poor, sick horse abandoned by its owner because it fell into the swamp. Gu Jiao said to Gu Yan, "Go and rest. Have a good sleep. You'll have the surgery tomorrow." Gu Yan readily agreed. "Okay. You should go to bed early too." Gu Jiao nodded. "I'll go to bed after giving it the 4 drip." Gu Yan got up and went to his room. "Ah Yan, don't be afraid," Gu Jiao said to him. Gu Yan turned around and smiled. "You're here. I'm not afraid." The next day, the whole family woke up before the sun rose. Now that the operating theater was settled, Gu Yan could finally undergo surgery. Everyone was looking forward to it. "You'll make breakfast today," Master's wife said to Master Lu. "My cooking skills are not good. I don't want to spoil Jiao Jiao and Ai Yan's stomachs." Master Lu thought to himself, "Do you still know that your cooking skills are not good? Then why did you ask Gu Chengfeng and Jiao Jiao to bring pickled vegetables and dried vegetables to Lu Lang and Jing Kong every day?" Master Lu cooked millet porridge, steamed a basket of meat buns with soy sauce, and fried a few scallion pancakes. The whole courtyard was filled with a crispy aroma. Gu Yan sat down in a daze. He was still a little dazed. He scooped a spoonful of millet porridge and was about to put it into his mouth when Gu Jiao stopped him. "You have to eat on an empty stomach," Gu Jiao said. Gu Yan's stomach growled. He said pitifully, "But today's breakfast looks so delicious." Master's wife was embarrassed. If she had known, she would have done it. Look at how hungry the child was. After breakfast, Gu Jiao and Gu Yan sat in the carriage to the state preceptor hall. Gu Jiao was determined not to let the Horse King pull the carriage. She used another horse at home. Master Meng also sat in the carriage. Master's wife's heart was in her throat. She was very nervous. Although she knew that Gu Jiao's medical skills were brilliant, she still couldn't help but worry. Master Lu comforted her. "Yan will be blessed by heaven. Don't worry. Besides, Jiao Jiao is here. Jiao Jiao won't let anything happen to Yan I know. Master's wife couldn't describe this feeling. In fact, Master Lu was the king of words. He was also very afraid. The calmest person was Gu Yan. It was as if he wasn't the one who went for the operation. Gu Shaoshun stood outside the window and said to him, "Don't be afraid. My medical skills are very good. When brother-in-law was a cripple, the doctor said that he couldn't be cured. I cured him. You can be cured too. Gu Yan covered his mouth. After hearing what you said, I'm really scared. Gu Xiaoshuan's expression changed. Ah. Gu Yan smiled. I'm just teasing you. Gu Jiao said, Xiaoshun, don't forget to ask for leave from the academy. Gu Xiaoshun answered, I know, sister. Gu Xiaoshun waved at the carriage and watched it disappear at the end of the road. Everything is going well, Gu Yan. About an hour later, the carriage arrived at the State Preceptor Hall. Yui had been waiting outside for a long time. He saw Gu Jiao and old Mr. Meng's carriage coming towards the State Preceptor's Hall from afar. After the two of them got off the carriage, he hurriedly went forward to greet them. He cupped his hands and bowed. Gu Jiao asked him, Why are you here? I'm waiting for you here. Yui said. Gu Jiao was surprised. You knew we would come today? Yui smiled and said, The State Preceptor said that you would be here before 9 o'clock. Was that guy a god? How could he even guess this? Yesterday, he said that if Gu Yan's physical condition permitted, he could come for the operation at any time. How could he be so sure that Gu Yan's physical condition would be fine? Gu Jiao asked suspiciously, Did the State Preceptor send someone to spy on me? Yui couldn't help laughing. Mr. Xiao, you must be joking. The State Preceptor will not spy on you. He can only do divination and know everything in the world. What a good divination and know everything in the world. Forget it. Now was not the time to verify this. It was more important to perform the operation on Gu Yan. Gu Yan got off the carriage. Gu Jiao introduced, This is my friend Gu Yan. Yan, this is Yu He, a disciple of the State Preceptor Hall. The two greeted and bowed to each other. Gu Jiao said, Little brother Yu He, please lead the way. Yu He smiled, You're welcome. Because of yesterday's lesson, Yu He directly arranged two disciples to guard Gu Jiao's carriage. Gu Jiao said, Actually, there's no need. After all, the Horse King is not here. Yu He brought the three of them to the State Preceptor's side hall. Through Yu He's introduction, Gu Jiao found out that it was the State Preceptor's office hall. All his official business was handled in the hall, and the small bamboo house yesterday was the place where he met his friends. The three guests who came yesterday were very special, so I brought them there. In the past, the State Preceptor met with guests every month in the Unicorn Hall, Yui said. In other words, Gu Jiao was also a special guest. Gu Jiao thought of that Taoist Qingfeng. It seemed that he was also a special guest. She just didn't know what was special about the three people yesterday. Who was the first guest yesterday? Is it convenient for you to tell me? It's okay if it's inconvenient. It was Duke Angua, Yui said frankly. Duke Angua. Meng Lao frowned. What's wrong? Gu Jiao asked. Meng Lao explained. Duke Angua's mansion and the State Preceptor Hall are sworn enemies. That year, Duke Angua was injured so badly that he was a living dead for several years, but he still didn't come to the State Preceptor Hall for treatment. Gu Jiao looked at Meng Lao. They have a grudge? You can say that. Meng Lao glanced at Yu He. He wasn't sure if it was rude for him to criticize the State Preceptor in front of other people's disciples. Yui tactfully walked to the front. Meng Lao said, Duke Angua's mansion and the Xinyuan family are in-laws. It is said that the Xinyuan family's rebellion was related to the State Preceptor Hall. I don't know the details. People have different opinions. In short, someone saw that Prince Jing and the State Preceptor had a big quarrel, and then the two sides had a falling out. Gu Jiao thought of the name Nan Gong Li told her before he died. She paused and looked at Meng Lao, asking, It is said that you always play chess with the State Preceptor and are treated as a distinguished guest by him. You don't know the reason? Meng Lao said helplessly. He never mentioned the Xinyuan family. Meng Lao, Master Xiao, Master Gu, we're here, Yui said in a pleasant manner. The three entered the Kailan Hall. Yui led Meng Lao to a side room and said, Meng Lao, the State Preceptor asked you to wait here. Meng Lao looked at Gu Jiao and then at Yu He. Okay, I'll wait for them here. Yu He then said to Gu Jiao and Gu Yan, please follow me. The three went to the end of the corridor. There were still 2 men of sacrifice standing guard there. Yui smiled and said, "I'll send you here. The state preceptor is inside. Please." The 2 men of sacrifice pushed the iron door open. The smell of disinfectant hit their nostrils. It was left by Gu Jiao yesterday. Today, the state preceptor was already cleaning the operating room. "We're not going to use this room," Gu Jiao said as she looked at the state preceptor, who was doing the cleaning himself. The state preceptor turned around. There was gentleness and expectation in his eyes. He said, "I'm just trying it out." Gu Jiao took down the small basket and said to Gu Yan, "This is the state preceptor of the Yan dynasty." Gu Yan cupped his hands and greeted, "State preceptor." The state preceptor said, "Oh." He looked at Gu Yan and said, "He is the patient. He looks very young, but he must have suffered a lot from the disease. I'll help you." As he spoke, his expression suddenly became serious. "But are you sure you can trust me?" Gu Jiao took out the small medicine box from the small basket. "Are you referring to my character or my medical skills? If it's the former, I don't care. If it's the latter, I'll rely on myself." After that, she put the small medicine box into the wall. In the next second, Guyan only saw light in front of his eyes. However, before he could see the scene in the operating room, he fainted in the arms of the state preceptor. The state preceptor slowly put Guyan on the operating table and took off Guyan's clothes. There are some things that he'd better not know. Gu Jiao did not refute. She took out 2 sets of surgical gowns. One set was given to the state preceptor, and the other one was changed for herself. Click. The operating light was turned on. Gu Jiao raised the scalpel and calmly stared at the young man under the light. The anesthesia is done. The operation begins. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/1072271000. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 702. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. If Guyan hadn't been hit by Nangong Li's palm, he might have had a chance to perform an interventional seal. He only needed a very thin sheath tube to pierce from the leg to the heart, and then he could send an occluder into the defect and block the defect easily. But now his defect area was too large, and a small occluder umbrella was not enough to block the defect. There were also some complications, so he could only perform an invasive cardiac surgery. The state preceptor looked at Gu Jiao's disinfection area and said, "You don't want to perform an open thoracotomy?" An open thoracotomy was to cut the sternum above the heart. It was simple and exposed a large area, so it didn't require much skill from a doctor. However, Gu Jiao chose to make a small incision under Guyan's right armpit, which increased the difficulty of the operation by more than 1 level. The open thoracotomy wound is too long, and the postoperative complications, such as pericardial effusion, are also high. She didn't want to leave such an ugly scar on Guyan's chest, nor did she want to cause more damage to his body. The right incision was small, and it didn't hurt the bones and muscles. It was difficult for her to operate, but the postoperative recovery and various complications would be reduced accordingly. Moreover, such a small incision could be repaired with the scar ointment from the Research Institute. Guyan still wanted to show off. Gu Jiao inserted the catheter from the incision and established an extracorporeal circulation. After that, the real operation began. In the wing room, Mr. Meng sat on a chair and shook his legs. Yui saw that the usually calm chess master of the Six Nations began to shake his legs and couldn't help but comfort him. Mr. Meng, don't be too nervous. With the state preceptor here, the operation will be completed smoothly. Yui didn't know that the real chief surgeon was actually Gu Jiao. All the disciples in the state preceptor's palace worshipped the state preceptor as a god. They believed in the state preceptor. Whether it was medical skills or divination, the state preceptor was always a legend in everyone's mind. I'm not nervous, Mr. Meng said. Then your leg. Yui looked at Mr. Meng's right leg that was shaking. Old Master Meng pressed his right leg and asked in a deep voice, "What's wrong with my leg?" Yui looked at his right leg that was pressed down, then looked at his left leg that was trembling uncontrollably. Yui, in the Qianqiong Academy, Gu Shaoshun went to the Clear Heart Hall to ask for a leave of absence from today's class. 2 days ago, Teacher Jiang had changed his class. Today, it was Teacher Gao's arithmetic class. Why can't Xiao Luleng come? Teacher Gao asked. This was a very serious problem student. Not only did he keep getting demerits, but he also kept asking for leave. What's wrong with him this time? Gu Shaoshun said. It's not Xiao Luleng who's sick. It's Gu Yan. Xiao Luleng sent Gu Yan to the State Preceptor Hall for surgery. Teacher Gao did not say anything else. He wouldn't care about a student who never listened in class and only relied on copying homework. Class. Teacher Gao sat in the lecture hall and said indifferently, "Take out the homework that was assigned yesterday. Let's see how to solve the first surgery." Student. Teacher Gao. In the house, Madame Nan was feeding the Black Wind King and the Horse King. She said helplessly, "I'm feeling uneasy. I keep feeling that something is going to happen." The Black Wind King was used to eating good food. At first glance, he simply couldn't eat the leaves they were feeding him. The Horse King gobbled down the food. Master Lu said, "You're thinking too much. That's the State Preceptor Hall. I've never heard of anyone who couldn't be cured there." Madame Nan glared at him. "How much do you know about the State Preceptor Hall?" Master Lu choked and muttered softly, "Aren't I comforting you?" Sigh. Madame Nan sighed heavily and looked at the door. The Black Wind King finally made up his mind to take a bite of the leaves. Just as he stretched his neck, Madame Nan took the dustpan away in a daze. Black Wind King. Halfway through the surgery, the small medicine box didn't provide enough blood. Gu Yan's blood pressure dropped rapidly. If this continued, he would die on the operating table from excessive blood loss. "Draw mine," Gu Jiao said. "The surgery isn't finished yet," the State Preceptor reminded. "I know." Gu Jiao rolled up his sleeves. White filter. The State Preceptor looked deeply at Gu Jiao and said, "Do you know that what you're doing now is crazy and dangerous? I've never seen a doctor draw his own blood for a patient on the operating table." Gu Jiao stretched out her arm. "Draw faster." The State Preceptor took out a white filter and connected it to the infusion tube. "How much?" Gu Jiao said, "As much as he wants." A steady stream of blood was drawn from Gu Jiao's body and flowed into Gu Yan's body through the white filter. Gu Yan had never experienced such a feeling before. Suffering from heart disease, he couldn't even sleep as well as ordinary people. He endured the torment brought about by his heart disease at every moment. But just now, he fell into a deep sleep and didn't feel the slightest bit of pain. But as he slept, his body became cold. It was as if he was on top of a glacier or fell into an ice cellar. He felt that he couldn't hold on any longer. But suddenly, a warm current flowed into his body. He felt the long-lost warmth, and the blood in his body seemed to surge again. He opened his eyes weakly. Sister, Gu Jiao stood beside him and held his hand. She bent down and gently pressed her forehead against his. "Gu Yan, you have to hold on. I don't know why I came to this time and space. If I had a mission, one of it would be to cure you. You can't draw anymore." The State Preceptor said, "It's 600 milliliters. Normally, you can draw 400 milliliters at most." Gu Jiao said, without hesitation, "Continue." Gu Yan pressed his forehead against hers and closed his trembling eyes. Hot tears fell. Sister, don't. Why hasn't he come out yet? It's dark. Mr. Meng wandered to the door for the 100th time. He said patiently, don't worry. No news is good news. If the patient really had an accident and the operation failed, the state preceptor would have come out long ago. It was reasonable, but it was also worrying that he didn't come out. If the operation was really successful, he should have come out long ago, shouldn't he? Could it be that there was some danger during the operation and he had to be rescued? Gu Jiao's eyelids were a little heavy. She moved a few times before she finally opened them. What greeted her was the glaring light, but she quickly adapted. She found herself lying on another operating table. The state preceptor walked over and glanced at her. How do you feel? You lost too much blood and fainted just now. You almost couldn't be rescued. Gu Jiao recalled for a moment and pulled out a memory from her blank mind. I finished the operation. The state preceptor nodded and looked at her with divine eyes. Yes, you did it. She had lost too much blood, but with a terrible obsession. She forced herself to complete the entire operation before falling to the ground. Gu Jiao asked, Where's Gu Yan? The state preceptor raised his hand and pointed. Next to you. The cardiopulmonary bypass had stopped. Gu Yan lay quietly on another operating table. His heart was beating vigorously. The operation ended perfectly, but whether he could survive the critical period depended on whether he could wake up smoothly. Gu Jiao got off the operating table and came to his side. She held his hand and touched his forehead. Yan. She called him softly. Gu Yan didn't respond. She called out again, Yan. Gu Yan's eyelids moved. He heard Gu Jiao's voice. Gu Jiao continued to call him. Yan Yan. Gu Yan slowly opened his eyes and looked at the pale face above him. He said weakly, I heard someone call me. Is it you? Gu Jiao nodded and looked at him. It's me. Gu Yan's eyes showed a trace of confusion and doubt. Who are you? Why did you call me? Gu Jiao was stunned. Was it the sequelae of the operation? Which part of the operation went wrong and caused intracranial hypertension and brain damage? She had never seen such a situation. But if that was the case, then the memory loss was just an external manifestation. He might have a more serious brain damage. Gu Jiao said, Wait, I'll check for you. Gu Yan grabbed her hand with his remaining strength and looked at her seriously. You're so beautiful. Do you need a younger brother? Gu Jiao was stunned again. The little hog on the top of her head stood up. She looked like a little confused rabbit. Gu Yan smiled weakly and said, If you don't bring me home, the rest of my life is long. Please take care of me, sister. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/1072227002. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Mobile Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 703. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all here. Although Gu Yan's operation was over and the tubes in his body were removed, he couldn't immediately be tired from the journey. The state preceptor let him stay in Qilin Hall to rest for a few days. Gu Jiao didn't refuse. Yui arranged a comfortable and spacious room for them with 2 beds for Gu Jiao to accompany them. He also arranged for 2 maids to stand guard outside the door, ready to listen to the 2's orders at any time. Gu Yan paid the price for his naughty actions after he woke up. Gu Jiao called old Master Meng over to take care of him. Gu Yan had an aggrieved expression. He didn't want the old man, he wanted his sister. Gu Jiao went to cook millet porridge for Gu Yan. 12 hours had passed since the operation. The anesthetic in Gu Yan's body was almost metabolized. He didn't have to worry about a lot of negative reactions in his digestive tract, and could eat a little liquid food. Qilin Hall had a small kitchen specially used by the state preceptor. Normally, outsiders were not allowed to enter. Gu Jiao was an exception. This was what the state preceptor had specially instructed before he left. The 2 maids originally wanted to do it for her, but Gu Jiao said there was no need. When Yui came over, he saw Gu Jiao's figure busy in front of the stove. Yui didn't know why, but he suddenly paused. This kind of youth undoubtedly made him feel unfamiliar. Although the 2 hadn't seen each other many times, Yui saw a very cold side of the youth. He seemed easy to get along with, but in fact, his bones emitted a rebellious unruliness. It was very difficult for him to connect the rebellious youth in his impression with the person in front of him. The youth seemed to have an extra layer of gentle aura. It was very faint, but it really existed. Xiao, Gongzi? Yui called out tentatively. He simply suspected that he had recognized the wrong person. The faint gentleness between Gu Jiao's eyebrows disappeared without a trace. She returned to the appearance in Yuhi's impression. Yuhi was stunned. Then he smiled and said, "Young Master Xiao, Lord State Preceptor asked me to come and see if you need anything?" "No, everything's fine." Gu Jiao said, "Why aren't you sleeping?" It was the middle of the night. Yes, it's the middle of the night, and the state preceptor is still thinking about the 2 of you. Old Mr. Meng really has a lot of face. Lord Imperial Tutor sleeps late, Yui said. Oh. Gu Jiao continued to cook the porridge. Yui said, "Young Master Xiao, you can leave these things to the servants. If they can't do it, you can ask them to go out and buy it." "No need." Gu Jiao politely refused. A certain someone had just undergone surgery and was feeling aggrieved. He did not like the food made by others. Gu Jiao said, "Go and rest. I'm almost done." Yui replied, "All right, young Master Xiao, call me if you need anything." Gu Jiao nodded. Yui turned and left. When he crossed the threshold, he subconsciously paused and looked back at Gu Jiao. He had already heard from Mu Ru Xin that the other party was from a lower country. But for some reason, Yui felt that being treated gently by the youth was a lucky and happy thing. After Gu Jiao finished cooking the porridge, she went to Gu Yan's room to recuperate. This room was opposite old Mr. Meng's room during the day, so it was convenient for old Mr. Meng to take care of him. Although Gu Yan had slept all day, he had just undergone a major surgery and was extremely weak. He was still a bit sleepy, but he could not sleep until Gu Jiao came. Gu Jiao brought in the porridge and let old Mr. Meng go back to his room to rest. Gu Jiao went to the bed and sat down. She looked at Gu Yan, who was lying on the bed, and asked, "Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" "It hurts a bit," Gu Yan said. "Where does it hurt?" Gu Jiao asked. "Wound," Gu Yan said as he raised his left hand to touch his chest. He was stunned by what he saw. "Huh? Where was his wound?" Gu Jiao curved her lips and calmly looked at him, looking for the wound on his body. Gu Yan looked confused. "Where is my wound? Did I have a fake surgery?" Gu Jiao laughed and pointed at his right armpit. "Here." Gu Yan suddenly understood. "No wonder I was wondering why it hurts here. But wasn't she going to open his chest? Why did she drive to the right side? The heart was not on the right side." He was weak at the moment and couldn't say much. But there was still a tacit understanding between the twins. Gu Jiao did not fool him simply because he did not know medicine. She explained the structure of the ventricles to him in detail. The left ventricle could not be destroyed at will. If it was cut, it would affect the function of the heart. The right ventricle was equivalent to a blood reservoir and did not have much contractile function. It was safer to enter through it. Moreover, during the surgery, Guyan's heart would stop beating. At this time, he needed to be intubated for cardiopulmonary bypass. The intubation places were the aorta, the superior vena cava, and the inferior vena cava. These places were better exposed by opening the right side of the chest. Oh. Gu Yan fell asleep as she listened. Gu Yan held Gu Jiao's hand. Old Mr. Meng stayed here for half the night. Gu Yan refused to sleep, but as long as Gu Jiao was here, he seemed to be able to sleep. She was by his side, the greatest peace of mind. Gu Jiao did not like to waste food. She ate the bowl of millet porridge by herself. Gu Yan held her hand the whole time. She also held Gu Yan's hand. She fell asleep at the head of the bed. The moonlight poured in and illuminated the floor. The state preceptor came to the door and looked in through the slightly open door. He saw Gu Yan lying on the bed and Gu Jiao sitting on the stool beside the bed. Half of her body was lying beside Gu Yan. The two of them held each other's hands and touched their foreheads. Under the cold moonlight, they looked like a pair of angels with broken wings for each other. Gu Yan recuperated in the state preceptor hall for 3 days. 2 days ago, he had a low fever. Gu Jiao wondered if there were postoperative complications. On the 3rd day, the fever miraculously subsided. Gu Yan could also get out of bed. Gu Jiao first helped him walk a few steps in the room. He was like an impatient child who could not wait to go out and have some fun. Gu Jiao then helped him to the corridor. I can walk. He really could walk. After Gu Jiao let go of him, he slowly and steadily walked from the east end of the corridor to the west end, and then from the west end to the east end. Although there was still pain in his chest, it was a kind of pain that carried hope. As the pain continued, he would be able to get better. Let's stop here for today. Gu Jiao said to Gu Yan. I still want to walk a little more. Gu Yan said. For the past 16 years, he had been tortured by his heart disease. There was not a day when he did not feel uncomfortable. Later on, with the medicine given by Gu Jiao, although he felt much better, he was still different from a normal person. It was not until today that he truly understood what a normal person's breathing and heartbeat felt like. He looked at his hand in surprise. It's good to be a normal person. Gu Jiao said, You are not a normal person now. When your wound is completely healed and the pain completely disappears, you will feel better than now. Gu Yan's eyes were bright. He was really looking forward to the arrival of that day. Gu Jiao and Gu Yan stayed in the state preceptor's palace for a total of 5 days. After confirming that Gu Yan could take a carriage, they said goodbye to the state preceptor. The state preceptor only appeared on the day of Gu Yan's operation. After that, it was always Yu He who came to receive them. The eldest disciple of the state preceptor's palace, Yi Qing, also came to visit them several times. However, since they were going to leave and the state preceptor did not come, Gu Jiao still had to go and say goodbye to him. The state preceptor was playing chess with old Master Meng in a small bamboo house in the bamboo forest. The state preceptor knew astronomy and geography. He was very knowledgeable. His chess skills were also superb. The two had been playing for 2 hours, but there was still no winner. That day, why did Dukan come to you? Old Master Meng asked. The state preceptor put down a black chess piece. You have never asked about the affairs of the aristocratic families before. Did that girl ask you to ask? Old Master Meng said. No. The state preceptor played chess seriously and said, Then that girl asked you. Old Master Meng choked. Just tell me. Are you going to tell me or not? Before the state preceptor could speak, a disciple outside the door reported, State preceptor, young Master Shao is here. The state preceptor put down the chess piece helplessly. Alas, it's not that I don't want to tell him. Old Master Meng. Gu Jiao came to the bamboo house and said goodbye to the state preceptor. I will go to see Gu Yan first. Old Master Meng put down the white chess piece in his hand, got up and walked out. Only Gu Jiao and the state preceptor were left in the house. In fact, Gu Jiao had asked Yu He these days and found out that the state preceptor was only in his early 50s, but he had more white hair than old Master Meng. It was obvious that he worried too much and his hair would grow gray early. "Thank you very much, State Preceptor." Gu Jiao said, "I will pay for the consultation." The State Preceptor raised his hand to stop her and said, "You don't have to pay for the consultation. The State Preceptor Hall is not short of money. If you want to borrow the operating room in the future, feel free to come." Gu Jiao, "Oh, then goodbye." The State Preceptor stopped her and looked at her deeply. He said meaningfully, "Little girl, don't you have any feelings about the operation this time?" "Feelings?" Gu Jiao touched her chin and thought seriously, "Am I really that awesome?" The State Preceptor, digression, it's a bit jammed. Please come and watch the second chapter in the afternoon. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/8964-2_8964-28286/1072090084. HTML Genius, memorize the website's address. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 704. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. The State Preceptor asked, "Have you ever wondered why there is an operating room in the State Preceptor Hall?" Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. "It's your State Preceptor Hall. Why do I have to think about it? I find that you're so lazy." The State Preceptor was speechless again. The State Preceptor took a deep breath, walked to the door, and opened the curtain. "Goodbye." Gu Jiao, Gu Yan, and old Mr. Meng sat in the carriage to go back. Although Gu Yan had undergone a major operation, the operation was very successful. His prognosis was also very good. There was no situation where he couldn't take the carriage. Of course, there was another very important factor. The official road in Chengdu was really smooth. Gu Jiao thought of a sentence she often heard in her previous life. To get rich, build roads first. It was obvious that the transportation route was very important for the development of a city or even a country. She wondered how the roads in Zhao country were being built. The alley they lived in now was called Willow Alley. It was located in the east of Qianqiong Academy and was bigger than Jadewater Alley in Zhao country. There were 20 families living in the alley. 3 of them had tenants. One of them was Gu Jiao's group. They rented the whole house. The other 2 only rented 1 room. Since old Mr. Meng often walked his horse, he became a familiar face in the alley. Everyone he met on the road greeted him. Gu Yan rarely went out. Basically, no one in the alley had seen him. Gu Jiao went out early and came back late. The number of times she saw him was also limited. "You're quite popular." After old Mr. Meng greeted the 7th person, Gu Jiao said to old Mr. Meng. Old Mr. Meng didn't understand. "Am I blushing?" "No, I mean you're popular." Gu Jiao said. "Well, the language of Zhao country is really strange." Old Mr. Meng said to Gu Jiao, "The child just now taught him a few games of chess. When he was strolling, he saw the scholar trapped in the game and kindly gave him a few pointers. That scholar might never have known that the person who gave him pointers was the chess sage of the 6 nations." The carriage stopped in front of the house. "Sis." Gu Xiaoshun dashed out quickly. Gu Jiao jumped off the carriage. "Xiaoshun." "Sis, you're finally back." Gu Xiaoshun was overjoyed. Seeing that Gu Jiao was about to help Gu Yan up, he quickly said, "Let me do it, let me do it." "You don't have to do it, I can do it myself," Gu Yan said proudly. After saying that, he showed Gu Xiaoshun how he got off the carriage. It was especially like a 1-year-old baby showing off to his little friends that he knew how to walk. "Not bad, Gu Yan." Gu Shaoshun gave him a thumbs up. You can even walk by yourself. One dared to show off, while the other dared to show off. Madame Nan and Master Lu both put down their work and came out to welcome them. Seeing that the two children were fine, the stone in their hearts finally fell to the ground. Actually, on the second day of the operation, Master Meng had sent a disciple from the State Preceptor Hall to report to them that they were safe. But if they didn't see it with their own eyes, they would feel uneasy. Madame Nan held Gu Yan's arm and looked him up and down. She said with satisfaction, "Not bad. Your complexion is much better. Your glabella isn't black anymore." Gu Yan, Madame Nan, are you sure that the glabella isn't poisoned? Does it hurt? Madame Nan looked at Gu Yan's chest and asked. It doesn't hurt. Gu Yan said. It did hurt, but it wasn't as painful as imagined. It was within the tolerable range. He was immersed in the joy of becoming a normal person. This pain was nothing. Also, the wound isn't here. Gu Yan showed off Gu Jiao's medical skills to Madame Nan. The wound was on the right side, less than an inch. In the future, it would heal to the point that it was almost invisible. Madame Nan was amazed by Gu Jiao's medical skills. Jiao Jiao must be tired too? She looked at Gu Jiao and said. Gu Jiao had lost a lot of blood, but she had been nourished well in the State Preceptor Hall these few days and had recovered. I'm not tired. Gu Jiao said. Madame Nan looked at Master Meng and bowed deeply. Thank you, Master Meng. She didn't need to say anything. Master Meng didn't say anything and stroked his beard. Master Lu hurriedly said, All right, it's a hot day. Look at the children. Let's talk inside. Madame Nan smiled. Just in time, I made mung bean soup. Gu Yan was so hungry that his eyes were shining. Gu Jiao said, You can't drink it. Gu Yan, in order to reduce the burden on the heart after heart surgery, one had to strictly control the intake of water and try to keep the body in a state of dehydration for the first few days. He already had a lot of drips every day. Drinking mung bean soup was out of the question. Gu Yan looked wronged. Madame Nan, did you make the children greedy again? Gu Yan entered the courtyard and began to look for the Black Wind King. He can walk now. He went to the backyard. Madame Nan smiled. Gu Jiao left enough medicine before she left. Madame Nan and Gu Shaoshun changed the medicine for the Black Wind King every day. The Black Wind King's condition improved greatly and was moved from the front yard to the backyard. Gu Yan liked the Black Wind King. Firstly, the Black Wind King was too beautiful. Secondly, the Black Wind King was very quiet and not as noisy as the Horse King. The Black Wind King had a noble aura, but it didn't lose its dominance and fierceness. It suited Gu Yan's taste very well. Gu Yan took a brush and brushed its mane. The Black Wind King didn't kick Gu Yan away and let him brush it meekly. Gu Shaoshun and Madame Nan also brushed its mane occasionally. The only person in the family who couldn't brush its mane was Master Lu. Gu Jiao, Gu Yan, and Gu Shaoshun were cubs in the Black Wind King's eyes. The Black Wind King was very tolerant of them. Madame Nan was a woman, so the Black Wind King was very tolerant of her. Master Meng was an old man, so the Black Wind King didn't bully him. Only Master Lu couldn't get close to the cubs, women, and old men. Every time he got close to the Black Wind King, he would be beaten by the Black Wind King. There was a burglary at home. Madame Nan was washing vegetables while talking to Gu Jiao about what happened at home. Oh, Gu Jiao asked, and then? Madame Nan said, that day we all went out. Little Shi also went out to drive the carriage. There was only that black horse at home. A total of 3 burglars came. They all seemed to know a bit of martial arts. They came in and ransacked the cabinets. They even found the banknotes. But guess what? They were all knocked out by the horse's hooves. None of them escaped. It did it. Gu Jiao looked at the Black Wind King, who was obediently being brushed by Gu Yan. Oh, is it that good? Gu Yan gasped, You're too tall. It's so tiring to brush it standing. Gu Shaoshun, you didn't even brush it twice, okay? The Black Wind King slowly lay down on the ground. Gu Yan moved a stool over and continued brushing its mane. On the other side, at the Han residence, Crown Prince Han had lost the Black Wind King for 6 days. He wanted to find the Black Wind King all the time, but there was no news of it. Could it have been killed? Crown Prince Han couldn't be blamed for thinking this. The Black Wind King's achievements were too terrifying. Everyone in the capital wanted to get the Black Wind King, and no one didn't fear it. It couldn't be certain that one of her rivals had secretly tried to kill it. Crown Prince, we found the Black Wind King's whereabouts. A guard hurriedly came to report. Crown Prince Han hurriedly let him in and asked, "Where is the Black Wind King?" The guard cupped his hands and said, "In the outer city, in an alley near Chincheong Academy. I think it's called Willow Alley. Someone saw a horse that looked like the Black Wind King." After lunch, everyone in the family went to take a nap. Gu Jiao couldn't sleep. She had been focused on taking care of Gu Yan in the state preceptor palace and didn't train much. Now that she was back at home, she naturally had to practice everything she had learned. The backyard was quite spacious. The Horse King was already sleeping on the ground, snoring. The Black Wind King stood there vigilantly. It would occasionally take a nap, but it was always standing. Gu Jiao started with something simple. She practiced the whip for a while. Then she took out the red tasseled spear and practiced the spear technique that the beautiful monk had taught her. When Gu Jiao practiced the whip, the Black Wind King didn't react. However, when Gu Jiao started practicing the red tasseled spear, it stopped taking a nap. It just stared at Gu Jiao until Gu Jiao finished practicing. Gu Jiao was sweating profusely. She walked over with the red tasseled spear and patted its head. The Black Wind King came over and sniffed the red tasseled spear. Gu Jiao asked curiously, "Do you like this red tasseled spear?" The Black Wind King stuck out its tongue and licked it. It continued sniffing, as if it was confirming something it had seen before. This was the first time Gu Jiao saw the Black Wind King showing interest in something at home. Gu Jiao didn't take the red tasseled spear away. She just stuck it in the ground. The Black Wind King continued sniffing the red tasseled spear. A trace of confusion flashed in its eyes. When Gu Jiao went to take a bath and changed into dry clothes, the Black Wind King had already fallen asleep beside the red tasseled spear. Horses usually stood up to take a nap. They would only lie down to sleep when they felt extremely comfortable and safe. The wind blew through the hall, and the red braid at the tip of the spear fluttered in the summer wind. A spear to defend the territory, suppress the demons on all sides, and drive away the enemy from all directions. With the spear, the soul of Xian Yuan will not be extinguished, and the mountains and rivers of the great Yen will not be broken. Digression, OCD, is here again. It's only a few votes away from reaching 2,000. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that you can't find on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896422826/1072054990. HTML Genius. Memorize the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Go mobile version website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 705. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. It was a quiet afternoon. The people and horses in the house had all rested. There was a sense of peace and tranquility everywhere. Gu Jiao didn't touch the red tasseled spear. Instead, she went to the well to wash her clothes. The summer in Yen country was humid and hotter than in Zhao country. The air was sticky, especially because she had wrapped her chest. It was so hot that she felt like she had a heat stroke. Gu Jiao hung the washed clothes one by one on the rope to dry. Halfway through, she heard the sound of horse hooves outside the door. At first, Gu Jiao didn't pay attention to it. However, the sound of horse hooves stopped outside the door of her house. Gu Jiao's first reaction was that Gu Qingfeng was here. Su Fengxian from Tianxiang Pavilion couldn't keep an eye on him. Gu Qingfeng's actions had always been more free. The reason why she didn't suspect Xiao Hong was because Xiao Hong had been very cautious recently. He didn't say anything, but Gu Jiao could roughly guess. That day, in order to let her put a gunny sack on Shi Zihan, Xiao Hong lured Prince Ming away. After that, Shi Zihan must have realized that Xiao Hong did it on purpose. However, Shi Zihan didn't have any evidence. He couldn't be at odds with Prince Ming because of some speculation, so he could only secretly send people to keep an eye on him. But soon, Gu Jiao heard a series of horse hooves. Not only was there a carriage, there was also a group of people and horses. This definitely wasn't Gu Qingfeng. Nan Shinyang happened to wake up. She heard the noise outside the door. She put on her veil and walked over to open the door to take a look. She asked, "Who is it?" As soon as she finished speaking, she was shocked by the scene in front of her. She saw a luxurious carriage accompanied by a group of imperial bodyguards stop in front of her house. The curtain was lifted, and a young man in his early 20s stepped out of the carriage. He was dressed luxuriously and had a dignified appearance. The other party's expression was very cold. He had the arrogance and murderous aura of a superior. He didn't look friendly. Mistress Nan's eyes darkened, and she asked in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "Who are you people?" Han Shizi glanced at the veiled woman. At first, he didn't pay much attention to her, but her tone caught his attention. He asked the guard beside him, "Are you sure this is the place?" One of the guards cupped his hands and replied, "Yes, Your Highness. That day, we went to the Yamen to inquire about the whereabouts of your mount and met a few thieves who were detained. They said that they found a very powerful dark horse in this residence." Dark horse. Could it be? Marshal Aunt Nan's gaze paused. This young man was the owner of the black horse in the house? Han Shizi looked at Madame Nan and asked in a deep voice, "Do you have the horse he mentioned in your house?" Mistress Nan was slightly startled. Han ignored her and went straight into the yard to look for his horse. Mistress Nan reached out to stop him. "Who allowed you to come in?" A guard shouted and rushed forward. "How dare you? My young master is not someone you can touch with your filthy hands." He reached out to slap Mistress Nan. Mistress Nan's martial arts had been destroyed in her early years. She was only good at poisons and hidden weapons. However, hidden weapons were not advantageous in close combat. She didn't have any poison on her at the moment. Just as the slap was about to hit Mistress Nan's face, there was a sudden swoosh in the central room. A cold arrow flew out and hit the man's shoulder. The man screamed and flew out, falling to the ground. Han Shizi didn't expect that someone would shoot an arrow in the house. He frowned. What a fast arrow! The rest of the guards pulled out their swords. Han Shizi stopped and looked in the direction of the central room with an uneasy expression. Gu Jiao was dressed like a teenager. She held a longbow in her hand and walked out in an unruly manner. Han Shizi recognized Gu Jiao at a glance. "It's you." Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows slightly. It was obvious that she also recognized Han Shizi. The two didn't know each other on the surface, but Han Shizi had secretly seen Gu Jiao hit the bow, and Gu Jiao had secretly put Han Shizi in a gunny sack, so they both recognized this face. There were too many grudges between the two of them. The Han family had abused Gu Qingfeng. Han Che had come to steal his horse. Han had used the Shaolin martial arts monks to injure Gu Jiao's teammates, and Gu Jiao had beaten up the two brothers. They couldn't live under the same sky. Both of their gazes turned cold. Han Shizi coldly said, "Xiao Lulang, don't think that I don't know what you've done." Gu Jiao touched her chin. Oh, he knew that she was the one who put the gunny sack? Also, he knew that she was the one who killed Nan Gongli? Han Shizi looked at Gu Jiao's expression and knew that she had guessed what he wanted to say. He thought that Gu Jiao would at least feel guilty and afraid, But Gu Jiao just said, "Oh." Han Shitzi was almost stunned. "Oh, what kind of reaction is this? What are you doing at my house?" Gu Jiao asked indifferently. She always used a teenager's voice when talking to outsiders. After using it so many times, she became more and more proficient and couldn't find any flaws. Han Shitzi frowned. This kid was too infuriating. He almost forgot about the important matter. Han Shitzi coldly said, "I was wondering who was so bold to steal our Han family's horse. I'm not surprised that it's you. Hand over my horse." "Your horse?" Gu Jiao put the longbow on her shoulder. "Your horse isn't here." Han Shitzi coldly said, "You think it's not here just because you say so?" Gu Jiao, "Yes." Han Shitzi, "Then do you dare to let me search you?" Gu Jiao, "Why should I let you search me? Do you have a search warrant from the government?" Did the Han family need a search warrant for their actions? Gu Jiao said, "You can't search me without a search warrant." Han Shitzi dangerously narrowed his eyes. "You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Fine, then I'll settle all the old and new debts with you here today." "What are you doing?" Master Lu was awakened by the commotion in the courtyard. He took large strides and rushed over with a machete. Gu Jiao blocked Master Lu and looked at Han Shitzi coldly. "I'll do it. Xiaoshun, give me my gun." Gu Xiaoshun, who had just walked to the central room, rubbing his eyes. "Oh, okay." He quickly ran back to the backyard and pulled out the red-tasseled spear beside the Black Wind King. The red-tasseled spear was too heavy. If he hadn't practiced grabbing it every day, he wouldn't have been able to carry it at all. In a spurt of energy, he carried the red-tasseled spear to Gu Jiao. "Lulang here." The red-tasseled spear had a big braid and a big red flower on it. Han Shitzi actually didn't recognize that it was Xian Yuan Li's weapon on the spot. Such an ugly weapon really stung the eyes of everyone present. One of the guards mocked him on the spot. What a joke. Master Lu pulled Madame Nan behind him. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Madame Nan shook her head. Han Shitzi said indifferently, "I don't need a weapon to deal with you. Make your move." As he spoke, his internal energy spread out in all directions. It was as if it was solid in the entire courtyard and pressed down on Gu Jiao. Madame Nan's expression changed. "This is the Tang Sex mantra. Oh no, Jiao Jiao is no match for him." Jiao Jiao had only learned this set of spear techniques for a few days. He wasn't familiar with it at all. Gu Jiao's spear struck towards Han Shitzi. The spear technique was so fast that only a shadow was left. No wonder he could kill Nan Gongli. However, this was still not enough to be his opponent. Han Shitzi's figure flashed. Gu Jiao's eyes flashed. He actually dodged. "You're just SOSO." Before Han Shitzi could finish his sentence, the attack that he had already dodged turned out to be a feint. The tip of the spear turned and pierced towards his waist. He couldn't dodge it. He pulled out the dagger at his waist and blocked the red-tasseled spear. However, he didn't expect the strength of the red-tasseled spear. Although it was enough to make his arm numb, it made the veins on his arm bulge. "Your spear techniques are not bad. Unfortunately, you're not skilled enough." Han Shitzi was actually surprised. He had tried to learn the Xian Yuan family's spear techniques. Unfortunately, he couldn't learn it. He couldn't control all his internal energy. Moreover, he didn't think that a spear technique without internal energy would be useful. Perhaps it was just an exaggeration. The Xian Yuan family had many martial arts techniques. They might not have defeated their enemies with this spear technique. However, he believed that the rumors were true. This spear technique was indeed powerful. He relied on his age and martial arts advantage to beat him. However, if he let Xiao Lulang practice for another 3 to 5 years, it would be hard to say who would win and who would lose. Therefore, he had to kill him now, before he was strong enough. Han Shitzi held the red-tasseled spear with one hand and pulled out a long sword from the waist of a guard with the other hand. He suddenly stabbed towards Gu Jiao's heart. Madame Nan's beautiful face turned pale. Jiao Jiao, accompanied by the neighing of a horse, a black shadow rushed out of the house. Han Shitzi paused. Black Wind King? Gu Jiao took advantage of his distraction to kick him. Han Shitzi hurriedly held his sword with his left hand and used the sword as a shield to block Gu Jiao's kick. Because of the force, both of them took a few steps back and separated from each other. Han Shitzi of the Black Wind Dynasty walked over. Han Shitzi's eyes lit up. His gloomy mood finally improved a little. He touched the Black Wind King's head. I finally found you. Then he stopped smiling and looked at Gu Jiao extremely coldly. And you said you didn't steal my horse. Gu Jiao saw that the Black Wind King and Han Shitzi were very familiar with each other and had a rough idea of what was going on. Madame Nan said sarcastically, My Lu Lang didn't steal your horse. It was your horse that fell into the swamp by itself. It was my horse that discovered it and shouted for Lu Lang to rescue it from the swamp. My horse was injured in order to save it. Your horse was poisoned and heavily injured. If it wasn't for my Lu Lang, it would have been dead. You're not grateful, and even accused Lu Lang of stealing your horse. Shameless. Han Shitzi frowned. The guard at the side raised his sword and slashed at Madame Nan. This time, before Gu Jiao could do anything, the Black Wind King raised his front hooves and kicked the guard away. Han Shitzi's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He looked at the guard who was kicked away, and then looked at the Black Wind King in front of his family. He clenched the sword in his hand. Okay, I'll believe you for now. Since you saved the Black Wind King, I won't argue with you about what happened today. But Xiao Lu Lang, I'll settle the score with you sooner or later. Let's go. He asked the servant to bring a saddle and put it on the Black Wind King. He and the Black Wind King grew up together. When he was still a child, he recognized this horse as the real master of the Black Wind King. Han Shitzi got on the horse and rode the Black Wind horse out of Willow Lane. When the Horse King woke up, the big black horse was gone. It was stunned for 3 seconds and then stood up to look around. Horses had a very sensitive sense of smell. It smelled the big black horse in the air and chased after it. Madame Nan looked at the Horse King's figure and shouted, Hey, little Shi. The Black Wind King was very fast, faster than ever before. Han Shitzi was very satisfied. You're indeed the strongest Black Wind King. It could still run with such strength and speed at the age of 17. Even if it was injured or poisoned, it was not affected. The adult Black Wind King left the 2.5-year-old Horse King in the dust, leaving him far behind. They soon arrived at the Han family. Chu Nan heard that Han Shitzi and the Black Wind King were back and hurried out to welcome them. Welcome, Prince. Chu Nan bowed. Han Shitzi patted the vigorous Black Wind King and said to Chu Nan, It seems to be faster than before. Chu Nan smiled and said, Really? That's a miracle. Han Shitzi tightened the horse's belly and said to the Black Wind King, Okay, time to go in. The Black Wind King did not move. Han Shitzi asked in confusion, What's wrong? The Black Wind King still did not move. Is your wound hurting? Han Shitzi jumped off the horse and carefully looked for the wound on the Black Wind King. Is the Black Wind King hurt? Chu Nan also came over to look. Unexpectedly, the Black Wind King suddenly took a few steps back. The two of them looked at it in confusion, but the Black Wind King just turned around and ran toward the street. Han Shitzi was confused. How could this be? Why did the Black Wind King leave? Chu Nan was the most experienced horse trainer in Shang. Dewey looked at the back of the Black Wind King and murmured, It's going in the direction of the Xianyuan family. It is going to find its real master. Han Shitzi said angrily, Its master is me. Chu Nan did not speak. Are you the master just because I let you ride it? You're just a playmate that grew up with it. By sending you back, I'm saying goodbye to you. Han Shitzi clenched his fist. How many years has it been? Didn't it say that it doesn't remember? How old was it when the Xianyuan family was attacked? 2 years old. Chu Nan said maybe it remembered again, or maybe it didn't really forget. It was just waiting for its master to come back. It thought that its master was still on the battlefield. What made it not think so? The sky was gloomy, and dark clouds covered the sky. Chengdu was stuffy to the extreme. The Black Wind King galloped under the dark clouds. Lightning flashed in the sky, followed by thunder. The carriages and horses on the street did not dare to drive casually anymore. They all found a place to avoid it. The Black Wind King galloped fearlessly on the empty street. The lightning chased after it, but it did not stop at all. After galloping for a long time, the dark clouds covered the sky. The afternoon seemed to have turned gray. It came to a mansion that was sealed and chained. The seal had already been broken. The parts that could not be glued to the door were flapping like tongues of fire. The iron chains were stained with rust, and the dirty door was covered in moss. The entire dusty and dilapidated mansion was eerily quiet. It was now a graveyard filled with wandering souls. It walked up the steps to the door and tried to break it open with its head. Bang, bang, bang. Again, again, and again. Its head was bruised and bleeding. The last bolt of lightning tore a crack in the sky, and torrential rain began to pour down. Raindrops as big as beans smashed onto its body under the raging wind. Blood flowed down and dripped to the ground. It seemed that it did not feel pain. It spared no effort to hit the door with its badly injured head. But the door would never open again. Father, a Black Wind Rider is dying. A young man in his 20s ran into the backyard of the mansion and said to his father, who was practicing the red-tasseled spear. His father asked, "Why is it dying?" The young man said, "It's having a difficult birth. It's dying." The father and son came to the stable. The horse had been in labor for 2 days and 2 nights. It had used up all its strength. It could not give birth to this little foal. But the father and son did not give up. They guarded it and stayed by its side the whole night. Finally, when the first light of dawn arrived, they welcomed this little life that was hard to come by. But it had been in its mother's womb for too long. It did not have much breath left. "Father, it seems that it's dying. It's the Black Wind Rider of the Xianyuan family. We can't do without it." The mare had died in childbirth. This was the child that she had exchanged her life for. The owner of the red-tasseled spear took it back to his house and fed it personally. It gradually grew from a little foal that could not even breathe to a strong foal. The foal would stand in the backyard every day, jumping and watching the father and son practice. "Father, look, it's taller. It's growing so fast. I can't believe that it almost died. Ah Chung, don't underestimate anyone, and don't underestimate any horse. Maybe it will grow up and become the Black Wind King. Then I'll take it to the battlefield to kill the enemy. Humph, the mistress and mistress are lining up. Can you beat her?" It did it. It became the Black Wind King. It could go to the battlefield to kill the enemy. But its master did not come back. None of them came back. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all the novels that you can't find on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964226/107186-345. HTML Genius remembered the website address www.zhbqg.com. Biku Mobile Reading Website zhbqg.com. Chapter 706. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are available here. The rain was pouring down heavily. Under the eaves of the houses on both sides of the street, hawkers pushing their stalls and pedestrians taking shelter from the rain. Occasionally, pedestrians would pass by with umbrellas, but they quickly closed their umbrellas and hid in the shops on the side. A horse carriage slowly came from the east side of the street. The rain was too heavy and the road was slippery. In addition, The view was obstructed, so the coachman didn't dare to drive too far. All of a sudden, the sound of a hurried carriage could be heard from behind. A horse in a hurry caught up with the carriage and whizzed past the carriage. In the carriage, Second Master Jing had just opened the window to see whose horse was running so fast when the horse's hooves splashed on his face. Second Master Jing was speechless. Second Master Jing was furious. He raised his hand to wipe the rainwater off his face and closed the window. He lifted the curtain in front and looked at the horse galloping past. He recognized it at a glance. Big brother, look, isn't that the horse from Chincheong Academy? It's the crazy one. The battle between the Horse King and the Black Wind Cavalry had become a legend in the archery circle. Anyone who paid attention to the archery competition knew that Chincheong Academy had a Hummer that beat the Black Wind Cavalry. Dukan sat beside Second Master Jing and looked deeply in the direction of the horse. The horse was running too fast and disappeared in the blink of an eye. However, he still lifted his thin finger with difficulty and knocked on the armrest of the wheelchair. This meant yes. If it was 2 times, it meant no. Strange, why did that horse run here? Second Master Jing opened the window again and stuck his head out in the rain. He looked back and felt even more strange when he didn't see the carriage from Chincheong Academy. Dukan raised his hand and dipped it in the cinnabar on the armrest. With trembling fingers, he wrote a word with difficulty. Chase. The rain was getting heavier and heavier. Even though Dukan's horse was a first-class horse, it was still very difficult for it to catch up with the Horse King. Fortunately, the Horse King ran and stopped, as if it was looking for something. Its speed wasn't always fast. They followed the Horse King into more and more secluded areas. Eventually, they arrived at a deserted street. This is... Second Master Jing's expression changed. In the past, it was the most prosperous place in Chengdu. There was an endless stream of horses and carriages, and the entrance was as busy as a marketplace. Every day, there were people who came to seek an audience. If they didn't have an invitation card, they might not be able to get in even after 10 days or half a month. But now, this street had already changed. Dong. Dong, dong. Heavy crashing sounds came from behind the heavy rain in front of them. Every sound seemed to hit their hearts. Second Master Jing lifted the curtain and took a look. That direction is the Black Wind King's head was bleeding, and his body was covered in wounds. The Horse King saw it from afar and galloped toward it without stopping. The Horse King looked at it in confusion, as if it didn't understand why it wanted to hit the door. Seeing that it was about to crash into the ground, the Horse King followed suit. However, the Horse King didn't know what this dilapidated mansion meant to the Black Wind King. It raised its powerful front hooves and was about to stomp on the chain door. Unexpectedly, the Black Wind King knocked the Horse King away. The Horse King tilted its head and looked at it in confusion. The Black Wind King continued to use its head and body to hit the door. The Duke family's carriage stopped not far away. Second young Master Jing lifted the curtain, and the rain poured down on him, and Dukan stared at them without blinking, and his hand on the armrest tightened. Second Master Jing had mixed feelings. He looked at the Black Wind King and frowned. What's wrong with that horse? Is it crazy? It will die if it keeps hitting it like this. The Black Wind King was seriously injured, so the Horse King didn't let him hit it. The 2 horses fought. Just as the 2 horses were fighting fiercely, the coachman suddenly called out, "Duke, Second Master, someone is coming." It was a young man riding a tall horse. He held the reins tightly in one hand and a red tasseled spear in the other. He was drenched from head to toe, and his hair was messy and stuck to his face. His calm eyes revealed an unruly calmness. He rode towards the Xian Yuan family's mansion. Second Master Jing couldn't help but be absent-minded. Was the rain too heavy, or was the fantasy in his mind too real? He seemed to see his brother-in-law returning from the military camp with such a calm and unruly expression. It was on this street, in front of this mansion. His brother-in-law got off the horse, walked up the steps, and pushed open the mansion's door as usual. Second Master Jing held his breath. He widened his eyes. At that moment, he felt that the tragedy didn't happen. When the door opened, the person inside would walk out with a smile. However, his brother-in-law didn't do that. He came in front of the two horses and separated them. Second Master Jing woke up from his dream. It wasn't his brother-in-law. It wasn't him. His brother-in-law was already dead, and it was he who personally collected his brother-in-law's corpse. He personally put his brother-in-law down from the city wall. When he pulled out the red tasseled spear that pierced through his brother-in-law's body, his hands were trembling. Second Master Jing turned his head, not letting his eldest brother see his red eyes. Duke and didn't cry. His tears had already dried up. After the Xian Yuan family was destroyed, after losing his wife who was pregnant, and after Yining closed her eyes forever in his arms, he didn't cry anymore. Second Master Jing raised his hand and wiped his eyes. He suppressed the sobs in his throat and said in a normal tone, "It's Xiao Lulang." Of course, Dukan saw it too. His gaze fell on Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao held the red tasseled spear in one hand and raised her other hand to touch Black Wind King's head. She looked at him calmly. Black Wind King was gradually comforted. Perhaps it finally realized that the master it had waited for most of its life would never come back. It raised its head and looked at the dark sky, letting out a mournful cry. Gu Jiao quietly accompanied it. Gu Jiao rarely had empathy with people or the outside world. But at this moment, she lowered her eyes and raised her hand to cover her heart. "Who's there?" A few city guards rushed over in the heavy rain. They had received a report from the people nearby that there was a suspicious person heading towards the old site of the Xian Yuan family. Even though the Xian Yuan family had been exterminated, and this once bustling street had become a dead street, the Xian Yuan family had left a lasting impression on everyone. The city guards didn't dare to be careless, so they rushed over to see what was going on. Second Master Jing hurriedly got down from his horse with an umbrella and stopped the city guards who wanted to walk towards Gu Jiao. He showed the Duke an estate's token and said politely, "My eldest brothers and my horses were frightened and ran here. Those are my guards." As he spoke, he took out a money pouch from his chest and tossed it to the city guard who was in charge. The guard guessed the other party's identity. "So it's Second Master Jing. Sorry for the disrespect." The Duke and estate and the Xian Yuan family were in-laws. He didn't believe that the Duke and estate's horse ran here by accident. He weighed the money in his hand and smiled with satisfaction. He cupped his hands and said, "The rain is so heavy, it's easy to scare the horses. Since Second Master Jing has found the horses, we'll take our leave first." Second Master Jing smiled and nodded. "Take care." After the guards had walked far away, one of their companions said, "Should we tell the higher-ups?" The leader of the guards said, "Tell the higher-ups what? Did the Duke and brothers come to remember the Xian Yuan family? Who in Sheng City doesn't know about the relationship between the Duke and estate and the Xian Yuan family? When the Xian Yuan family was defeated in their rebellion, everyone who had dealings with them avoided them, afraid of getting into trouble. Only the Duke and estate, who was still Crown Prince Jing, ran to the battlefield to collect the corpses of the Xian Yuan family members. Second Master Jing also followed. He wasn't afraid of death. Had they not been remembering the deceased members of the Xian Yuan family all these years? "What's there to report?" his companion said. But that kid didn't dress like a guard of the Duke and estate. He even had a red tasseled spear in his hand. When I first saw him, I thought that the Xian Yuan family's ghost had returned. "It's broad daylight. What nonsense are you talking about?" the guard said, but he was actually scared. That kid was indeed a bit strange. The way he held the red tasseled spear was very similar to the Xian Yuan family members. But the Xian Yuan family members were long dead. He couldn't be a malicious spirit who came for revenge. He shook his head decisively and took out the money bag that Second Master Jing gave him. He smiled and said, "Don't think about it. Let's go. I'll take you guys to drink." The guards' figures completely disappeared in the heavy rain. Second Master Jing walked around the two horses and came to Gu Jiao's side. He asked, "Why are you here?" Gu Jiao was looking up at the mansion signboard. The signboard was exposed to the sun and rain, and had been damaged by someone. It was already badly damaged. Under the thick cobwebs, even the two words Xian Yuan were blurred. Xiao Lulang. Second Master Jing waved his hand in front of Gu Jiao's eyes. Gu Jiao came back to her senses and said, "I'm here to look for my horse." Second Master Jing snorted. "So you heard it. Then why didn't you answer on purpose?" "I didn't do it on purpose." Gu Jiao said, "I heard it, but I was thinking about something. You can ask what I'm thinking about first." In other words, she wanted to wait until she finished thinking before she could answer him. Second Master Jing, who had never seen such a person before, "What's wrong with your horse?" Second Master Jing pointed at Black Wind King and asked. Gu Jiao said that she was here to look for a horse. She didn't say that she was only looking for one horse. Second Master Jing naturally thought that the other horse was also Gu Jiao's. Gu Jiao didn't explain that Black Wind King wasn't her horse. She only shook her head slightly and said, "I don't know either." Dukan sat in the carriage and saw Second Master Jing talking to Gu Jiao like an idiot in the rain. He was so angry that his body trembled. Second Master Jing had an umbrella, but Gu Jiao didn't. Fortunately, Second Master Jing and his eldest brother had a tacit understanding for once. He said to Gu Jiao, "You can stay in the outer city. It's raining so heavily that it won't stop for a while. Why don't you take shelter in the carriage?" Gu Jiao turned her head to look at the carriage in the rain. Dukan sat in the carriage and looked at Gu Jiao without blinking. His eyes were full of expectation. Gu Jiao said, "Okay." Gu Jiao got on the carriage. The Horse King bit Black Wind King's reins. It didn't care whether Black Wind King was willing or not. It just pulled it along. The carriage drove out of the dead silent street and turned right through an alley. It came to another main street. After a while, it turned into an alley and stopped in front of a small courtyard. This was a small house that was about the same size as the one Gu Jiao and the others rented. After entering, there was a front yard. After passing through the central room, there was a backyard. The backyard was connected to a row of back rooms. Gu Jiao didn't go that far. She stopped at the corridor of the first row of rooms. She looked at the lily of the valley in the courtyard. She felt that this place was a little familiar, as if she had seen it in her dreams. Second Master Jing moved his eldest brother and his wheelchair to the corridor. The two brothers' clothes were a little wet. Second Master Jing called a servant and asked him to bring Gu Jiao to a side room to change into dry clothes. "Were my eldest brother's clothes? Other than my eldest brother's clothes, there were only his sister-in-law's belongings. He didn't dare to touch his sister-in-law's belongings. His eldest brother would kill him. Moreover, Xiao Lulang was a man. He couldn't wear his sister-in-law's clothes." The servant found a new set of clothes that Duke and hadn't worn for Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao's figure was tall for a woman. However, compared to Duke An's height, she was still a little petite. She looked like a child who had stolen an adult's clothes. She was a little cute. Second Master Jing walked out of his eldest brother's room after changing his clothes. This was the scene he saw. He secretly thought that he had seen a ghost. Actually thought that this kid was cute. He was obviously very annoying. Second Master Jing said angrily, "Your horses are in the stable. Don't worry. Someone will feed them. They won't starve. I've also found a doctor. He will treat your horses." "Thank you." Gu Jiao thanked him. Second Master Jing wasn't used to being so polite. His attitude immediately changed. He coughed lightly and said, "My eldest brother wants you to go over and drink tea." Gu Jiao went next door. Duke An's condition had improved recently. Previously, it was difficult for him to write one word. He might not even succeed. Now, he could write 3 to 5 words a day. If he was in good condition, he could write 7 to 8 words. Most of them were scolding Second Master Jing. They talked about what it was like to have a younger brother who deserved a beating. The wheelchair was wiped and dried. Duke An sat on a chair with an official's hat. There were chairs beside and opposite him. Second Master Jing didn't say anything and sat opposite his eldest brother. This way, his eldest brother would be able to see him. He was really smart. Duke N's eyes were murderous. Second Master Jing shrank his neck. Why did he feel that his neck was cold? Duke N couldn't turn his head. This meant that he wouldn't be able to see Gu Jiao sitting beside him. However, Gu Jiao didn't sit down immediately. Instead, she came in front of him and knelt down on one knee to feel his pulse. Your pulse is indeed smoother than before. Gu Jiao said, Duke, you're recovering well. Duke N raised his finger again. This time, he didn't touch it lightly. Instead, he dipped it into the tea in the cup and wrote 3 words shakily. Are you well? Gu Jiao said, I'm all right. Duke N wrote shakily again, Black Wind. This was the limit of his strength. He only wrote half of the word wind. Sweat seeped out of his forehead and flowed down his cheeks, sliding into his clothes. What did my eldest brother write? Second Master Jing came over. Black wind? What black wind? Gu Jiao knew that Duke N most likely recognized the Black Wind King. She said, it's indeed Heir Han's Black Wind King. However, I don't know why it went there. She came to find the Horse King. It was unexpected that she met the Black Wind King. Who would have thought that the Black Wind King, who left with Heir Han, would appear in that place? That horse is the Black Wind King. It's really. Second Master Jing murmured with a complicated expression. Really what? Gu Jiao asked. Second Master Jing sighed. How should I put it? You've seen the Han family's Black Wind Cavalry. However, did you know that the Black Wind Cavalry didn't belong to the Han family, but was trained by the Xianyuan family? I've heard about it. Gu Jiao said. After the Xianyuan family was defeated, the military power was divided into 4 parts. The cavalry belonged to the Han family. Among them, there were many Black Wind Cavalry. You know a lot about the Yan Kingdom. Gu Jiao didn't refute. Second Master Jing was only teasing Gu Jiao. He didn't think that Gu Jiao had any ulterior motives. He continued, there can only be one Black Wind King among the 30,000 Black Wind Cavalry. The previous Black Wind Kings were all male horses. Only this Black Wind King is a female horse. It was born with a difficult birth. It was cooped up in the mother's womb for too long. When it came out, it was almost dead. By the way, it was my brother-in-law and Great Marshal Xianyuan who helped it give birth. After it was born, Great Marshal Xianyuan carried it back. Therefore, that horse was actually raised by Great Marshal Xianyuan himself. Gu Jiao asked, your brother-in-law is? Second Master Jing coughed awkwardly. Cough, cough. My eldest brother's brother-in-law is my brother-in-law. Xianyuan how? Gu Jiao made an O sound and said, didn't he change his name to Xianyuan Cheng? Second Master Jing was stunned. You even know about this? Gu Jiao said, I've heard of it. Wait, what kind of people do you have around you? How can you talk about the Xianyuan family like this? Aren't you afraid of being beheaded? Second Master Jing rolled his eyes. He thought of something and said, speaking of which, the Black Wind King is the same age as Yimin. Yimin? Gu Jiao muttered. This name sounded strangely familiar. She seemed to have heard it in her dreams. Second Master Jing didn't know what she was thinking and only thought that she was asking a question. He explained, Yimin is the daughter of my eldest brother and sister-in-law. She was born in the same year as the Black Wind King. When they were 2 years old, something happened to the Xianyuan family. The Han family contributed greatly in the war. The monarch rewarded the Black Wind Cavalry to the Han family. The Black Wind King, who was still a foal, naturally went to the Han family. In the blink of an eye, it has been 15 years. So the Black Wind King went back to look for its master today? After so many years, it was still waiting for its master to come back? Gu Jiao was silent for a moment and said, did the Xianyuan family really rebel? The room suddenly fell into a strange silence. Second Master Jing's body tensed up and he didn't dare to answer. Duke N dipped his finger in tea and used the last bit of strength he had just recovered to write a word in a crooked manner. Looking at the yes that Dukan used all his strength to write, the strange thing was that Gu Jiao didn't feel too surprised. Dukan wanted to write more, but he didn't have any strength left. Second Master Jing looked at his eldest brother's trembling hand and said with heartache, "Eldest brother, don't write any more. Let me tell you. They had only met this young man a few times. Logically speaking, they shouldn't talk so deeply. He didn't understand why his eldest brother didn't guard against this young man. Second Master Jing composed himself and said solemnly, "That's right. The Xianyuan family did rebel. However, they were forced to do so. The main culprit is the State Preceptor Hall." "What did the State Preceptor Hall do?" Gu Jiao asked. Second Master Jing snorted and said, "That bullshit State Preceptor did a divination for the Xianyuan family. He said that the Xianyuan family had the fate of the Emperor Star. The Emperor Star is also known as the Emperor Star. Only the emperor of a country has the right to have this fate. This clearly said that the Xianyuan family had the aura of an emperor. Which country's emperor would feel comfortable with this?" In order to prove that they had no intention of rebelling, the Xianyuan family proposed to hand over their military power. However, not long after the military power was handed over, a war broke out at the border. Jin and Liang joined forces to attack the border of the Yan Kingdom. The Yan Kingdom was attacked from both sides. The emperor didn't use the Xianyuan family at first. In the end, the Yan Kingdom suffered several defeats. Their morale was greatly reduced, and their morale was shaken. The Yan Kingdom had no choice but to use the Xianyuan family again. Xianyuan Li led his eldest son in the vanguard and attacked the Jin nation's army first, taking back 3 cities in one go. Xianyuan Li's second brother and his third and fifth sons led the troops to encircle the Liang nation's army. Everywhere they went, they were undefeated. The alliance of the two countries was defeated by the Xianyuan family. The people at the border were very grateful. When the Xianyuan family retreated, the people of the city saw them off on the streets. This incident made the Yan Kingdom fully aware of the Xianyuan family's strength and the importance of the Xianyuan family in the hearts of the people. The arrival of the Emperor's Star in Xianyuan was not something that the Xianyuan family could stop just by handing over their military power. Unless Gu Jiao finished for him, unless they are all dead. Second Master Jing nodded. That's right. Since the day Xianyuan clan returned to the capital in triumph, the monarch had the intention of eliminating the Xianyuan clan. However, Xianyuan Li was a senior official of 2 dynasties and a divine general of 6 states. Although the various measures of the Imperial Master Palace played a significant role in the development of the Yan Kingdom from a lower kingdom to a greater kingdom, how could those who once oppressed the Yan Kingdom be willing to let the Yan Kingdom rise again? How many battles did the Xianyuan family's army fight? How much blood did they bleed to stop the ambitions of the other countries? If it wasn't for the Xianyuan family's protection, the Yan Kingdom would have been destroyed. How could it be a greater country? The Xianyuan family's achievements overshadowed the Yan Kingdom. The Yan Kingdom was afraid of them, but he couldn't just kill them. To become a greater country, the Yan Kingdom needed them. Therefore, the Yan Kingdom thought of a plan to numb the Xianyuan family. When the Empress Xianyuan gave birth to a daughter, the Yan Kingdom immediately conferred her the title of Crown Princess. For more than 10 years, the Yan Kingdom doted on the Crown Princess and gave her everything. The Yan Kingdom wanted the Xianyuan family to be spoiled and arrogant. However, the Xianyuan family's family rules were strict, so they didn't do anything out of line. Gu Jiao said even if they did something out of line, the Xianyuan family wouldn't be punished, right? Second Master Jing choked. Cough, cough, that's true. Gu Jiao said, so the Yan Kingdom didn't want the Xianyuan family to make a mistake. He wanted the people to see how well he treated the Xianyuan family. One day, if the Xianyuan family betrayed him, the people would cry out for them. Second Master Jing scratched his head. Ah, is that so? What you said makes sense. Gu Jiao asked, then, how was the Xianyuan family forced to rebel? Second Master Jing was silent for a while. He clenched his fist and said with a complicated expression, "I don't know the details. It seems to have something to do with the crown princess. My eldest brother knows a thing or two. Unfortunately, as you can see, he can't say anything." Gu Jiao thought for a while and asked, "There are many people who want the Xianyuan family to be in trouble, right?" Second Master Jing nodded sadly. The Xianyuan family's power, status, military power, and martial arts are all enviable. The Xianyuan family never betrayed the world, but the world betrayed the Xianyuan family. The rain didn't seem to be letting up. The raindrops hit the roof with a pitter-patter. Second Master Jing said he was hungry and went to the kitchen to find something to eat. Only Gu Jiao and Duke were left in the room. Gu Jiao moved a small stool to sit next to Dukan. She massaged his arms and palms to help him recover. "You told me about the Xianyuan family. Aren't you afraid that I'll tell others?" Gu Jiao asked. Dukan's fingertips tapped on the armrest twice. "No." Gu Jiao unexpectedly understood. She rubbed his other hand and said, "Why aren't you afraid? We've only met a few times. I'm very bad." Dukan's fingertips tapped on the armrest 3 times. "You won't." Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows and looked at him. "How do you know I won't?" Dukan nodded. "You just won't. From the first time Gu Jiao hid in his bed, he felt very close to her. He couldn't tell why. But it was like the most important person had returned to his side. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_89642826/107165304. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Go mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 707. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Second Master Jing went to the kitchen to find a pile of food. There were fruits, braised chicken, and dried meat. He filled a few big bowls and brought them to his eldest brother. The moment he entered the room, he saw his eldest brother chatting happily with that fellow. Actually, his eldest brother didn't know how to speak at all. He was also very confused as to why he thought of the phrase, chatting happily. Duke had finished massaging his hand, but Gu Jiao was still sitting on the small stool beside him. The scene was strangely harmonious, as if he was the extra person. Second Master Jing was stunned for 3 seconds. He walked over and said to Gu Jiao, "Don't sit here. My eldest brother doesn't like others to be too close to him." Dukan, was it too late to beat his own brother to death now? After the old madam passed away, the old Duke remarried. His stepmother was a virtuous woman who took good care of the little heir. After the little heir said that he wanted a younger brother or sister, the stepmother had 2 children. One of them was Second Master Jing. Duke regretted it. He shouldn't have wanted a younger brother. The rain stopped. Gu Jiao should go back. Duke's eyes revealed a strong sense of reluctance. This was also a very strange feeling. He wanted to keep her here. Duke lowered his eyes. His fingertips tapped a few times on the armrest. Gu Jiao looked at his fingertips and said, "No, it's too late. The inner city gate will be closed after dinner." Second Master Jing was stunned. "My eldest brother spoke to you? Why didn't he hear it?" Gu Jiao pointed at Duke's hand. "He did." Second Master Jing, "Fellow, I'm not well educated. Don't lie to me." Second Master Jing felt that Gu Jiao was talking nonsense. He and his eldest brother were blood brothers who had telepathy. Even he couldn't understand what his eldest brother was trying to say when he knocked on the door. How could a brat whom they met by chance? Since Gu Jiao wanted to leave, it was inconvenient for Second Master Jing to stay. But under the threat of his eldest brother's eyes, he still took out the food he had painstakingly brought from the kitchen. Take it with you on the way. No need, Gu Jiao said. At least bring some. Second Master Jing said. Gu Jiao paused and reached for a piece of dried meat. Second Master Jing was surprised. You like this too? You like it? Gu Jiao asked him. Second Master Jing shook his head. I don't like it, but my eldest brother does. Gu Jiao. Oh. Second Master Jing was the king of words. His mouth was full of disdain, but when it came to giving Gu Jiao food, he was strangely generous. He wrapped the whole plate of dried meat in paper and handed it to Gu Jiao. Take it, eat it on the way. Gu Jiao broke half of it and handed it to Dukin. Second Master Jing wanted to say that there was more in the kitchen, and he would go get it for his eldest brother later. But he saw his eldest brother's fingertips pressing on the half packet of dried meat. That strange feeling came again. Did his eldest brother smile just now? Why did it seem like his own child actually knew how to be filial to him? So his old father was so happy. Second Master Jing clutched his chest. I've seen a ghost. I've really seen a ghost. This fellow reminded him of his brother-in-law for a while, then reminded him of Yin, who died young. He seriously suspected that he had provoked some evil spirit recently. When he returned, he had to ask his wife to go to the temple to burn incense and ask for a protective talisman to ward off evil spirits. Gu Jiao went to the stable. Black Wind King's injury had already been treated by the doctor that Second Master Jing called. The doctor had applied medicine, but his mental state was not good. Gu Jiao decided to bring him back first. Second Master Jing walked over and said, Have you thought it through? This is Han Ye's horse. Who is Han Ye? Gu Jiao asked. Second Master Jing said, Crown Prince Han. His name is Han Ye. It's not Yi which means night, but Yi which means radiant and dazzling. Gu Jiao. Oh. Second Master Jing weakly sucked in a breath of cold air. Are you really not afraid? This is his horse. If he knows that you brought his horse back, he will definitely cause trouble for you. Moreover, this horse seems to remember its previous owner. It will only recognize one owner in its life. Even if you bring it back, it won't recognize you as its owner. Gu Jiao. Oh. Second Master Jing. Can you not be so calm? Crown Prince Han and her had long been enemies. With or without Black Wind King, they could not live under the same sky. As for the matter of recognizing a master, Gu Jiao had never thought about it. How could there be so many masters and servants? It was so troublesome. Gu Jiao rode the horse back and brought Black Wind King and Black Wind King back. The family was very surprised to see Black Wind King. Gu Jiao told them what happened in the afternoon. The family sat in the living room. Only Gu Yen ran to the backyard to brush Black Wind King's hair. Senior Madam Nan was puzzled. Why did it suddenly go to find its previous owner? What triggered it? Senior Madam Lu suddenly slapped her head. Did it only know that its previous owner was no longer on the battlefield when it saw your red-tasseled spear? The spear was here, and the person was here. War god Xin Yuan Li's red-tasseled spear would not leave his hand so easily. Therefore, if the red-tasseled spear was back, the Xin Yuan family should also be back. It was hard to imagine what kind of feelings it had when it went to welcome its master, and what kind of heart it had to bear the blow of its master never coming back. Gu Jiao was stunned. My red-tasseled spear. Senior Madam Lu looked at her confused face and asked in disbelief, Don't tell me you don't know what kind of spear you use all this time. Gu Jiao. Senior Madam Nan was also surprised. You really don't know? Gu Jiao looked at the two of them. You both know. The husband and wife said in unison, We know. We thought you already knew. Gu Jiao said, When my sworn brother gave it to me, he did not tell me where it came from. Senior Madam Lu asked, Then will you think of this spear? Gu Jiao thought about it seriously and said, "It's useful, I like it." Senior Madam Lu said matter-of-factly, "How can Xin Yuan Li's divine weapon not be useful?" Gu Jiao was slightly stunned. "It's Xin Yuan Li's spear?" To be honest, the red-tasseled spear had been damaged by little Jingkong. If Senior Madam Lu had not seen it every day, she would not have recognized it. It was no wonder that when Gu Jiao fought with Crown Prince Han just now, Crown Prince Han did not recognize that it was Xin Yuan Li's divine weapon. Gu Jiao suddenly understood. No wonder. Senior Madam Nan was puzzled. No wonder what? Gu Jiao said, "When I was practicing spear, I found that the Black Wind King was very interested in this red-tasseled spear." Speaking of which, Gu Jiao could get this spear purely by accident. After the Xin Yuan family's army was defeated, Xin Yuan Li's red-tasseled spear was rewarded by the monarch to the ambassador of the Qin Kingdom. Later, the Qin Kingdom was defeated by Marquis Xianping of the Zhao Kingdom, and Marquis Xianping snatched the red-tasseled spear. Marquis Xianping did not practice spear, he just snatched it for fun. After snatching it back, he threw it into the armory of the military camp. He probably forgot about the red-tasseled spear. It was Gu Jiao who accidentally entered the armory and took a fancy to it. Because she looked at it for too long, she was discovered by the old Marquis who was passing by. At that time, the old Marquis did not know that Gu Jiao was his sworn brother, but he also found the red-tasseled spear. He felt that it was very suitable for his brother, so he took it and gave it to Gu Jiao. The Han family. After the Black Wind King left, Crown Prince Han became angry. He wanted to chase the Black Wind King back, but he was stopped by Chu Nan. Chu Nan said, "It won't come back." Crown Prince Han said coldly, "Then I will catch it back even if I have to." Chu Nan shook his head. "It's useless to catch it back. When it finds out that its master is dead, it will not live alone." Crown Prince Han frowned. "You mean it will die for its master?" Chu Nan sighed. "Even if it doesn't die for its master, it will not be the Black Wind King anymore. Unless you are willing to raise a useless horse, then forget what I said." Crown Prince Han looked in the direction where the Black Wind King left and clenched his fists. Chu Nan was right about the Black Wind King's situation. After it returned to Willow Lane, it first refused to be treated, then refused to eat, no matter who fed it. At first, Gu Yan thought that it was because the food at home was not good, so he went to the academy with Gu Shaoshun and asked Wu Fuzi for some fine feed for the war horse. But the Black Wind King still did not move. In the end, all the fine feed went into the Horse King's stomach. Madame Nan suddenly had an idea. She cut some carrots and went to the horse farm 5 miles away from the city to buy the best pasture. But even so, the Black Wind King still refused to eat. It did not even drink water. The Horse King looked at it and hesitated. It turned around and dug out the fruit it had secretly hidden behind a tree. It brought it to the Black Wind King. The Black Wind King still refused to eat. Madame Nan and the others looked at the Black Wind King, who refused to eat, and sighed helplessly. Gu Jiao went back to the house and opened the medicine box. She took out 2 tubes of nutrients and injected them into the Horse King's body. "So it won't starve to death?" Gu Yan asked. "In principle, yes." The nutrients in the research institute were very well balanced. Half a tube could keep the Horse King from eating for an entire day. Considering its weight, Gu Jiao injected it with 2 tubes. But Gu Jiao paused. Its fighting spirit can't be replenished with nutrients. In short, it would no longer be the Black Wind King. Oh, Gu Yan was very calm. He stroked its mane and said, "It's good not to be the Black Wind King." They had not taken it in because it was the Black Wind King. They had always thought that it was a sick horse that no one wanted. So what did it matter if it was the Black Wind King or not? Gu Yan looked at it and said, "You see, I have no ambition, but I'm still living a good life." Gu Jiao, the whole family accepted the fact that the Black Wind King had lost its will to live and its fighting spirit. They were ready to take care of it when it was old. Crown Prince Han also accepted it. He began to cultivate a new Black Wind King. The best age for a Black Wind King was 6 to 15 years old. After the age of 16, their physical strength would begin to decline. So what if a 17-year-old Black Wind King did not lose its fighting spirit? It would not be in its best condition for a few years. Its legend was over. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1071466061. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Mobile Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 708. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. At night, Gu Chengfeng came over. He would come here whenever he had nothing to do. During the 5 days when Gu Jiao and Gu Yan were staying at the State Preceptor Hall, he came 3 times, but all of them were empty. Fortunately, he didn't come tonight. Everyone in the family was asleep and the door was locked. He climbed over the wall and was almost stabbed to death by Gu Jiao. Gu Chengfeng looked at the red-tasseled spear that was half an inch away from his chest and swallowed, saying, "No way? Why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night?" Gu Jiao put away her spear and walked back to the central room, saying indifferently, "It's so late. Why are you here? You think I want to come?" Gu Chengfeng snorted, rubbing his heart that was almost scared to death, and walked into the room as if nothing had happened. He looked at the rooms with half-closed doors and said in a low voice, "Are you all asleep? Why are you so early? The theater business has just started." Gu Jiao sat down on the chair beside the square table. "Then why are you still here?" "I don't go on stage every day." If he went on stage every day, the drama would progress too quickly, and he would have nothing to sing. He really regretted not reading more of the stories written by the old chancellor. He finally understood the principle of regretting not having enough books when it was time to use them. "Did Gu Yan's surgery go smoothly?" Gu Chengfeng said as he sat down on the chair opposite Gu Jiao and asked seriously, "Let me make it clear that I'm not concerned. I'm asking on behalf of Xiaohong." "It went smoothly," Gu Jiao said. "Really?" Gu Chengfeng's eyes lit up. "Gu Jiao, didn't you say that you don't care?" "Yes." Gu Jiao nodded. "You can go and see for yourself, but he might be asleep now." Gu Chengfeng's eyes flashed and he picked up the teapot to pour himself a cup of tea. He held it up and shouted, What's there to see?" Although she said that, her eyes kept glancing at Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshuan's room. "Is there any news for my husband?" "What news could there be? He's being watched by the Han family. He's very cautious and hasn't been out recently." Fortunately, there was an eagle that could send the messages. "Will Gu Yan relapse in the future? Is he really cured?" "There shouldn't be a relapse." "What do you mean by should?" "As a doctor, I have to be careful with my words." Gu Chengfeng, last time, Gu Xiaoshun said that he wanted to eat the snacks from our theater. I brought them here. I'll bring them in for him. Having said that, he got up and walked calmly into Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshuan's room. The weather was hot and the windows and doors were open. They had made mosquito-repellent incense at home, but Gu Yan couldn't sleep when he smelled it, so they could only cover themselves with a mosquito net. Gu Chengfeng's aura changed as soon as he entered the room. He tiptoed to the bed, holding the box of snacks in one hand and quietly removing the clamps on the mosquito net with the other. He squeezed his head through the gap in the net. Then he saw a face facing him. The little hogue on the top of the head stood up, but the pair of eyes were calm and stern. Gu Chengfeng screamed and fell to the ground. "It was really scary, okay?" He pushed open the mosquito net and saw ahead. It was like seeing a ghost. Weren't you asleep? Gu Chengfeng got up and patted the dust off his pants. This time, it was Gu Yan's turn to stick his head out of the mosquito net. His hand gripped the net tightly, otherwise the mosquitoes would fly in. It was even scarier now. It was as if there was a head on the mosquito net. The moonlight was so white that it made people feel gloomy. If Gu Yan wasn't so cute, Gu Chengfeng would have followed his survival instinct and kicked him. Gu Yan said innocently, "I was asleep, but I didn't fall asleep." Gu Chengfeng. Gu Yan noticed the box in his hand. He didn't let the box fall to the ground when he fell, just now. He had been holding it carefully. Gu Yan couldn't help but ask, "What's in the box?" "Snacks. I bought them for Gu Shaoshan." Gu Chengfeng said casually and handed the box over. Gu Yan didn't take it. Instead, he said, "There are too many mosquitoes. Open it and let me see." Gu Chengfeng opened the box, revealing a layer of exquisite and tempting crab cakes. "Gu Shaoshan doesn't like to eat this," Gu Yan said. Gu Chengfeng cleared his throat and said calmly, "If he doesn't want to eat it, you can have it." Gu Yan said, "But I don't like to eat this either." Gu Chengfeng instantly exploded. "Didn't you say you liked crab cakes last time? Do you know that the Opera House hasn't made this in 800 years? I went all the way to invite the chef back." "Oh." Gu Yan tilted his head and said, "So it's for me." He emphasized the word yes. Gu Chengfeng almost choked to death. This brat. How could he test his own brother like this? What happened to being uneducated and incompetent? Do you want to ascend to the heavens by being so cunning? Then let me have a taste. Don't you have hands? Mosquitoes will fly in. I won't feed you. If you want to eat it yourself. I'm leaving. Hey, you said you'd only taste it once. You've taken your third bite. Sure, don't shout. My sister won't let me eat it if she hears it. Gu Chengfeng. That night, Han received a secret summons from the Crown Prince's residence. The Han family was the Crown Prince's mother's family. Han didn't have to be secretive when he went to the Crown Prince's residence, unless it was something important, or, to put it more bluntly, it was something shameful. Han met the Crown Prince in the Crown Prince's study. The Crown Prince was sitting behind the desk with the doors and windows slightly closed. There was incense burning in the room that could drive away mosquitoes. It was made by the State Preceptor Hall. This type of incense was divided into 3 grades. Only the royal family had the right to use the highest grade incense. It didn't smoke people, only mosquitoes. Crown Prince Han cupped his hands and bowed. "Han Yi greets your highness." The Crown Prince raised his hand solemnly. Han Yi then saw the Crown Prince's tired face. "Is there something troubling your highness recently?" If it wasn't something serious, he wouldn't have called him to the Crown Prince's residence in the middle of the night. The Crown Prince sighed. "I called you here so late to talk to you about Nan Gongli. Have a seat." "I wouldn't dare." Han Yi bowed. "Fine." The Crown Prince didn't force Han Yi. He said with a complicated expression, "I know how Nan Gongli died." Han Yi was surprised. "Your Highness knows? Then why did your Highness?" The Crown Prince said, "Why didn't you tell the Supreme Court and the Ministry of Justice?" The Crown Prince said, "I have difficulties that I can't say." Han Yi said solemnly, Han Yi is willing to share the Crown Prince's worries. The Crown Prince sighed. "You must have heard that Nan Gongli went to Zhao country a few months ago." Han Yi didn't say anything. The Crown Prince said, "That's right. I let him go. This matter is too dangerous. I don't want to involve the Han family, so I found the Nangong family." He was explaining that he didn't trust the Nangong family more. It was just that the task was too dangerous. As for whether Han Yi believed it or not, it was up to him. The Crown Prince continued, "Nangong Li went to assassinate someone. Unfortunately, the mission failed and one of his arms was cut off. He went to Xia country to assassinate someone and failed the assassination?" Han Yi was puzzled. The person he went to assassinate was Xiao Lulang. Han Yi was stunned. After a while he asked, "Why did your highness want to kill Xiao Lulang?" "Because he was The crown prince picked up the brush and wrote 3 words on the paper. Han Yi felt something explode in his heart. How could he? The crown prince said. So you understand why I must kill him. Han Ye's heart was in turmoil. This was even more shocking than when he learned that he had lost the Black Wind King. He thought of another thing. On the day of Nangong Li's death, Zhai Ho of the Qinqiong Academy happened to enter the palace to meet the emperor. He asked, did Nangong Li sneak into the palace to stop Xiao Lulang from meeting the emperor? The crown prince said, it should be. I heard later that people from the Qinqiong Academy entered the palace, including Xiao Lulang. The night before the accident, Nangong Li told the crown prince that he saw Xiao Lulang on the street. The crown prince asked him to find him. Nangong Li did find him the next day. However, before he could report to the crown prince, he went to the palace to assassinate Xiao Lulang. In the end, he died in the palace. Han Yi said, was he also killed by Xiao Lulang? The crown prince shook his head. Xiao Lulang doesn't know martial arts. I think it was a master hiding by the crown princess side who killed Nangong Li. The crown prince guessed this because the brocade guards he sent to assassinate the crown princess were all dead. He didn't believe that the crown princess didn't have a powerful master by her side. Han Yi said seriously, Xiao Lulang knows martial arts. I just fought with him today. The crown prince said thoughtfully, that's not right. Nangong Li told me that Xiao Lulang was a weak scholar who didn't have the strength to truss a chicken. He easily caught Xiao Lulang back then. Han Yi frowned. Did Nangong Li make a mistake? Xiao Lulang's martial arts aren't weak. My master, Qi Xian, also fought with him. He said that in a few years his martial arts might catch up to mine. The crown prince wasn't stupid. He quickly realized that something was wrong. He asked, what does Xiao Lulang look like? Han Yi said, Your Highness, can I borrow a pen and paper? The crown prince signaled for him to use as he pleased. Han Ye's drawing skills weren't bad. He quickly drew Xiao Lulang's portrait. The birthmark on Xiao Lulang's left cheek was too distinctive. The crown prince recognized it at a glance. It's him? Han Yi said, it's him. He's Xiao Lulang. The crown prince said, what I mean is that he's the one who struck the bow. I've seen him before. I don't care which academy he's from. I only remember that they were fighting against Che Er's academy and the Han family's Black Wind Cavalry. Han Yi said, that's Qinqiong Academy. The crown prince's expression changed. What? The crown prince didn't have much interest in the person who struck the bow, so he didn't ask for his name. If he did, Nangong Li might not have to die. Nangong Li thought that the one from Qinqiong Academy was the real Xiao Lulang, so he stopped him from meeting the monarch. However, since it was a fake, it wouldn't matter even if the monarch met him. The crown prince slammed his fist on the table. Damn it. If Xiao Lulang's identity was replaced, then where did the real Xiao Lulang go? Han Yi wasn't stupid. He thought of the key point and hurriedly asked, Your Highness, is Xiao Lulang from Qinqiong Academy a fake? Then who is the person you want to assassinate? The crown prince took out a portrait from the bookshelf and pointed at the handsome man in it. It's him. Han Yi was a man, so he naturally didn't care too much about a man's appearance. However, he was still stunned. His temperament and appearance weren't inferior to Mu Qingqian's. The crown prince said coldly, I thought I already found out where he is, but now it's back to square one. He's hiding in the dark, and we don't know what identity he has. Han Yi carefully remembered the man in the portrait. Han Yi knows what to do. The crown prince said coldly, no matter the price, don't let him see the monarch. Han Yi cupped his hands and bowed. Han Yi understands. After leaving the crown prince's residence, Han Ye's face showed a trace of disdain. Nangong Li, you were defeated by 2 young men. Now it seems that you didn't die in vain. You died because of your stupidity. Our Han family isn't as stupid as you. I'll finish what you didn't do for the crown prince. You can see the gap between your Nangong family and the Han family in the underworld. At dawn, little Jing Kong was pulled out of his bed by Xiaohong. Little Jing Kong tried to escape to find Gu Jiao last night, but he was caught by Xiaohong. He didn't sleep in a fit of pique, although he didn't bet for more than 3 seconds. However, he was soulless when he couldn't see Jiao Jiao. He brushed his teeth expressionlessly and washed his face expressionlessly. Then he changed into his little uniform and ate something before being sent to Lingbo Academy by his bad brother-in-law. He was the youngest student in the class and sat alone in the first row in the middle. However, when he entered the classroom, he found that there was another child sitting next to him. The child looked even younger than him. He was wearing the little uniform of Lingbo Academy's prodigy class and had a beautiful ponytail. The soulless little Jing Kong was shocked and his eyes widened. After being in school for so long, this was the first time he saw a student younger than him. It was pink and chubby and looked like it was easy to bully. He wanted to scratch his ponytail. "Who are you?" Little Jing Kong asked. I'm. She pointed at her fingers and said in a childish voice, "I'm Light Shui." Little Jing Kong said, "Light Shui? That's a girl's name." The little princess said, I'm a girl." The little princess was used to being an elder and had rich experience in dealing with adults, but she had never played with children of her own age. She was a little nervous and didn't know what to do. With Gu Jiao as a precedent, little Jing Kong was very receptive to dressing up as a boy in class. He introduced himself generously. "I'm Jing Kong. Is this your first day in school?" The little princess shook her head and said, "No, the teacher at home didn't teach well, so my uncle asked me to come here to learn." Little Jing Kong put his bag on the table and sat down next to her. He said, "Your uncle has good taste. It's okay." The little princess said, "But the teacher he picked at home is not good. I don't understand what he said. My uncle will come to pick me up later." Little Jing Kong said, "Oh, my brother-in-law. My sister will come to pick me up later." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/8964-2_89642_107145163. HTML Genius memorized the website's address. www.zhbqg.com Bikuga Mobile Reading Website. zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.